Day 3 of NFL free agency begins, and the Pittsburgh Steelers still do not have their starting quarterback for the 2025 season, but it's looking like today might just be the day. Steelers Nation, could Aaron Rodgers be named the next starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers today? We will sure find out. Welcome into the Steelers Talk live show, Day 3 of NFL free agency. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Let me turn on your light here, Coop. There's Mr. Coop. How we doing today? Of course, yesterday, just one move made by the Pittsburgh Steelers, Kenneth Gainwell. We'll talk about Kenneth Gainwell here in just a second. But today kind of feels like the day Aaron Rodgers could sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers, Coop.
I don't know if it's today. I don't know if it's 3 weeks from now. I don't know if it's 5 minutes from now. But it does feel like we are coming closer to a decision. People are dropping hints here and there that it could be imminent. I just want this to be over with. I want to know who our QB is.
I just want to know, man, especially because I want to know how much money they're going to be giving him, because that kind of determines how much money the Steelers will have to spend on other players for the 2025 season here, and it's kind of hard to plan for the rest of the roster when you don't have your quarterback under contract. So let us know down there in the comments section. Will Aaron Rodgers sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers today? This is the day that the New York Jets are slated to release Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
It is the start of the new league year in about 13 minutes. All right, so at the new league year,
new league year, it's at 4 p.m.
Oh, it's at 4 p.m.
Yep.
So at 4 p.m. today,
Eastern, yep.
4 p.m. Eastern today is when the New York Jets will be releasing Aaron Rodgers officially, and he can officially sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He can come to an agreement with the Steelers before that. He's been allowed to talk with teams ever since the team announced that they would be releasing him. And it's just going to be interesting to see what he decides to do today. People like Peter Schrager have said that it could be up to 4 weeks until he makes a decision. I really hope that isn't the case. I really hope for the Steelers' sake, for our sanity's sake, that we have a decision at the quarterback position for the Pittsburgh Steelers at some time today. There are some hints that have been laid out there by Pat McAfee, by our favorite dog and the People's Insider, Ricky, said that Aaron Rodgers is on his way to the Steelers, and it's just a matter of time. All I'm going to say here, man, is that McAfee starts here in about 12 minutes. He says Aaron Rodgers is not slated to come on the show today, but that doesn't mean that he won't make a surprise appearance. So we're going to get into all of our pregame coverage here. We'll be talking about Rodgers and the latest around him. We'll be talking about Kenneth Gainwell and the signing that the Steelers made last night. And then we'll also talk about some free agency targets that are still available that I would still like the Steelers to go out and get. But before we get into our coverage of Day 3 of NFL free agency today, let's have one more sponsor here at Mando Whole Body Deodorant. And right now, guys, it's time for spring cleaning. Of course, the Steelers have had multiple players leave in free agency already, and you might be sprucing up your apartment a little bit, but something that you should not be taking out of your daily routine is deodorant, and that's where my favorite whole body deodorant comes in with Mando. Mando is safe to use anywhere on your body and is clinically proven to block out odor all day long and control odor for up to 72 hours. Also, Mando's entire line of products are baking soda free, paraben free, and you can choose from a variety of fresh scents like bourbon leather, which is my personal favorite, but they also have other ones that are really nice as well, like Clover Woods, Mount Fuji, or Pro Sport. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code and link. Use code CHAP at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. And use code CHAT to get $5 off a starter pack today. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers because it comes with a solid stick of deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash, and the deodorant wipes that they have are very highly recommended as well. Plus, you get free shipping. As our special offer for our listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code that equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code CHAP at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando Whole Body Deodorant today. First Super Chat of the day already rolling through here from Black and Yellow Podcast is what cornerbacks and DTs are left. Are we going to cut Patterson? So I'll answer the second question there first. I think they are going to cut Cordero Patterson, Coop.
Yes, I agree.
They signed Kenneth Gainwell last night, and I think that that probably puts Cordero Patterson on the outs, in my opinion. He got a little bit fatter last year. Of course, he dealt with a little bit of an injury as well.
He just wasn't effective.
He wasn't effective when he was in. He had some moments, but he certainly wasn't the dynamic presence that they thought they were getting, especially on special teams last season. So I think Patterson is cut. That will save the team $2.8 million in a salary cap for the 2025 season. And then in terms of the cornerbacks and DTs and which guys are left, these are 8 players that I would still love the Steelers to sign in free agency that are still available. Aaron Rodgers is going to be officially made available today when the new league year starts at 4 p.m. Eastern Time around the National Football League. He can agree to sign with the Steelers at any time, but he can officially sign with the Steelers at 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern. I would also love for them to bring back slot corner Mike Hilton. The team, they're planning on signing Darius Slay when he's eventually released by the Philadelphia Eagles to be the number 2 corner on the outside, but I would still like them to get somebody to play the nickel. Mike Hilton is still one of the best nickel corners in the National Football League, a phenomenal blitzer from the slot. I would love for him to be back in the black and gold. Dalvin Tomlinson is also a post-June 1st cut for the Cleveland Browns. I think he might like to come play for the Pittsburgh Steelers to play for his former team twice next season. Plus, he's an excellent nose tackle and a really good run defender. He's a little bit older, but he's got some experience, and that would allow Keanu Benson to move to the 3 technique, which I would prefer. Trent Brown is the guy I would bring in as the swing tackle. He has played left and right tackle in the National Football League level. Didn't have a great season last year with Cincinnati, but with Broderick Jones and Troy Fautano both being pretty big question marks heading into next year, I think Trent Brown is the perfect solution for the Steelers at swing tackle. Isaiah Simmons is a safety, linebacker, slot corner hybrid that can play all over the formation. He should be affordable. I would love the Steelers to grab him. Armon Watts is available. Of course, he went to the Patriots last year, and he didn't play great there in New England, but he played great as a rotational pass rusher from the interior 2 seasons ago here in Pittsburgh. Would love to bring him back as a rotational guy. Alan Lazard, if you do bring in Aaron Rodgers, I think Lazard, who is also slated to be released by the Jets as a post-June 1st designation today, I think his chemistry and his experience with Rodgers would be beneficial. Plus, I think he'd be cheap. And then because Arthur Smith likes to use fullbacks, Kyle Juszczyk, arguably the best fullback in the league, is available. If the Steelers want to get into that 2 running back set kind of lifestyle, I wouldn't mind bringing in Kyle Juszczyk, Coop. So those are the guys that I would probably still like the Steelers to sign. What do you think about that list right there, Coop?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good list. Kyle Juszczyk's a name that stands out to me. I mean, he's been the best fullback in the league for, 5+ seasons now. So I think he'd be a really good addition. Obviously, it all hinges on Rodgers. That's what we're waiting for. Dalvin Tomlinson, I think, would also be solid. That would move Keanu off the nose and into the 3 tech, so I think that'd be a solid move. Trent Brown as a swing tackle, wouldn't hate it. And then they still do need a nickel corner, so Mike Hilton could certainly be an option as well.
Yeah, and it's tough here because obviously the Steelers don't know how much they're paying for their quarterback this season, and that kind of hinders some things. Now, there's still some good players available, and they can still fill a lot of the needs that they have on this team. And, if we're being completely honest, there's not a ton of needs left for the Pittsburgh Steelers at this point. They've already made the investment that they want to make on the offensive line. They've already made the investment they want at wide receiver.
Yep.
The only true needs, they still need to fill 2 spots on the interior of the defensive line. I'm guessing they're going to fill one of those in the draft, at least one of those in the draft. They still need to fill out slot corner, and they still need to fill out running back, another running back spot.
Yes, they do. And the signing of Kenneth Gainwell yesterday kind of helped fill a need at running back, but you're right, they still need an every down back because Kenneth Gainwell's not that.
And Van Jefferson,
He's gone.
Our sweet prince, signed with the Tennessee Titans.
Yes, he did.
Van Jefferson obviously was not very good last year for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Best of luck.
But we wish him the best of luck, as we do with the rest of the Steelers free agents. If you guys want to donate to the show today, Pat McAfee show starts in less than 5 minutes here, but we are going to be taking questions throughout the program today. Of course, we'll be doing breaking news cuts whenever the Steelers make signings today, whether it's Rodgers or anybody else. If you guys want to donate to the show, we greatly appreciate it. And by the way, if Aaron Rodgers signs today, we're going to be doing an Aaron Rodgers jersey raffle. So if you guys want to get in on that action, you can go to @Jack-Sperry on Venmo, # Captain Jack 19 on Cashapp, or @Captain Jack Rabbit on PayPal. Really do appreciate all of the financial support that you give to us here, guys. Every single dime goes towards buying new equipment to make our show better. Improving our graphics. Paying rent, keeping the lights on, all that stuff. So if you guys want to donate to the channel, you got a question you want to put on the show. We'll talk about whatever topic you guys want to talk about, so you guys can super chat, or you guys can Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal to get a topic to discuss on the program today. All right, $2 from Nick But Worse says Mason Rudolph comeback season.
Not happening.
I don't think Mason would want to come back, and the reason why is because he felt betrayed by the Pittsburgh Steelers and this organization multiple times. He thought he was going to have a legitimate chance to earn the starting job in 2022. With Mitchell Trubisky being brought in, and then of course Kenny Pickett being drafted. I think he played the best out of any of the quarterbacks that year in Latrobe and in the preseason, and he was still delegated to QB3. All right, he felt betrayed by that, and then when he did get his opportunity to play at the end of the 2023 season, played well, obviously, led this team to consecutive victories to finish out the season. And then they were in the game in the fourth quarter on the road in Buffalo in the playoff game, ended up losing by multiple touchdowns. But then the team all that offseason was saying, we want to bring Mason Rudolph back. We want to bring back Mason Rudolph. And then at the last second, at least according to Mason, the team pulled the rug out from under him and signed Russell Wilson instead. And he felt betrayed by the team. So even if the team wanted to bring Mason Rudolph back, I'm not sure if Rudy feels comfortable coming back to the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. Now, if they offer him the starting job, like let's say they miss out on Rodgers and they say, we'll make you the starter for next year if you sign with us, then maybe Mason Rudolph could potentially think about it. But
he's not coming here to be a backup.
I don't, the reports are that the Steelers are interested in him as a backup. I really don't think Rudolph is interested in coming back to Pittsburgh if he's going to be QB2. $5 from my man Big Mo says Drew Lock with an eyes emoji and a laughing emoji. Drew Lock has had a number of opportunities in this league. He has shown some flashes.
I'd take him as a backup.
I would take him as a backup. If you bring in Rodgers and, Drew Lock's your backup, you could do a lot worse than Drew Lock as your backup. I will say that. But if he's your starter next year, this team is in you're in deep shit if Drew Lock is your week 1 starting quarterback. Just got our first Venmo of the day here, so I will send that to you, Mr. Coop.
Perfect. And then after we show that, I do want to show them the latest Pat McAfee stuff that we saw earlier.
Yeah, okay. So I just sent it. So let's go over the latest kind of rumors surrounding the Aaron Rodgers saga. Do we start with the Ricky tweet here?
Let's start with the McAfee retweet.
All right, so Pat McAfee, so you guys know, is very tight with Aaron Rodgers. During the season, he goes on there every Tuesday, and he shows up on occasion during the offseason. He announced that he intended to play for the New York Jets on his show back in 2022. Or was it? I think it was 2023, actually.
Yeah,
but obviously Rodgers is on the show a lot, and obviously he has flirted with Mike Tomlin quite a bit. And back in 2021, before playing the Steelers, Aaron Rodgers said this about Pittsburgh. I love Pittsburgh. It's a great blue-collar town. And Mike Tomlin is a fantastic coach who knows how to lead, and players love playing for. And then Pat McAfee today reposted this, which indicates that McAfee might know a little bit of something, that Rodgers might be leaning towards the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then also our favorite dog and the People's Insider, Ricky, had said today that Aaron Rodgers is going to be going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And he said that Russell Wilson is slated to go to the New York Giants.
And he tweeted this.
And this was the photo that Ricky put out on X earlier today. And, of course, is Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin meditating together. And he accompanied that photo with the hashtag Here We Go. He also said that the Giants are gearing up for Plan C, which apparently is Russell Wilson.
What was Plan B?
Aaron Rodgers. Plan A was Stafford. Plan B was
enough.
Rodgers. And Plan C apparently is Russell Wilson for the Giants. So we'll see if anything comes up today. Kane Manley coming in with a $5 Venmo to kick us off today. He says, my favorite signing this free agency is Van Jefferson to the Tennessee Titans. Yeah, he did not have a good season last year, man. It's one of the most obvious move on in free agency type of moves. And honestly, the Steelers have a lot of people in free agency leaving. You got Najee, James Daniels. You've got Justin. Here's all the people that are leaving. Dan Moore Jr., Justin Fields, Dante Jackson, James Daniels, Najee Harris, Landon Roberts, Larry Ogunjobi, Van Jefferson.
I believe that's it so far.
So eight players. And by the way, like most, if not all of these guys were full-time starters last year, and they're gone. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're kind of revamping this football team, to say the least. Now, they've had plans to replace these guys in place for most of these positions, right? With guys like Landon Roberts, they drafted Peyton Wilson last year. Larry Ogunjobi, they're going to probably be drafting a DT, and they're probably going to sign a DT at some point during free agency. Van Jefferson, they just traded for DK Metcalf, right? So Najee Harris, they have Jalen Warren, and now Kenneth Gainwell. So McAfee just began, and I'm guessing they're going to be talking about Rodgers really, really early on in the show, because I think that McAfee understands that there's a lot of buzz around his retweet. So we'll see what McAfee has to say about Rodgers here. And here we go.
We'll see what happens.
I will say, McAfee's wearing all black with a gold watch.
Do you think that's a hint?
Not to say that
he always wears all black.
He didn't yesterday.
Yeah, he did.
I don't think he did.
He wore a black shirt for sure.
But not all black with a gold watch.
Are you saying that's his Tomlin outfit?
Well, it might be his Steelers outfit. I don't know, but I'm just making an observation, all right? I'm not saying it means anything. I'm just making an observation here. But while they kind of intro the show here, let's talk about Kenneth Gainwell, because Kenneth Gainwell,
let's do that.
Former Eagles running back, is on his way to Pittsburgh as the new RB3 of this football team. And yes, I'm saying RB3 before we even have an RB2 or an RB1, depending on how good the running back is, that they end up drafting, because I do think Gainwell is going to be kind of that depth piece, scat back, special teams contributor, did more kick returning and punt returning last year, but I just like Gainwell's toughness. I love his savvy. I like his foot speed. He's not the biggest guy in the world. He's not going to be an every down back or anything like that. And I honestly don't think he's going to be like a true starter for the Steelers. I think this is true depth here, because I do think that they are going to be drafting a running back very early in the NFL draft to pair with Jalen Warren.
You think first 2 days?
Probably first 2 days, but the thing about the running back position, Coop, if you're a team like the Steelers and you want to prioritize the run the way that they want to, and Arthur Smith was top 5 in rushing attempts per game last year, like in terms of the percentage, like they want to run the football. And if you want to do that, like you have to have contingency plans for one of your top 2 running backs getting hurt. So Jalen Warren will be one of the top 2 running backs, and then I'm guessing the guy that they end up drafting in the NFL draft this year is also going to be one of the top 2 running backs, all right? If one of those guys gets hurt, you got to have somebody that you trust to take on number 2 running back duties, and Kenneth Gainwell just filled that role with a Super Bowl winning team in the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, obviously, Saquon Barkley was their workhorse, right? He was their every down back. But Gainwell came in, and he made some big plays on third downs. Like, if you need a third down to be converted, Kenneth Gainwell's the type of guy that will pick up the first down and will do whatever it takes to make one guy miss, get to the sticks, and move the chains and keeps the drive alive, all right? So Gainwell is the perfect RB3 option for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and now they can turn their attention to the NFL draft, where they can potentially draft Ashton Genty in round 1 or Amarian Hampton in round 1. They can draft like Caleb Johnson in round 3 potentially. They can draft maybe even Quinshon Judkins in round 3, right? They can turn their attention to filling that other starting running back spot in the draft, while also feeling good about the running backs that you currently have in-house in Jaylen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell. So because Gainwell and Warren aren't the biggest guys in the world, I would expect the guy that they draft to be a little bit bigger. So whether that's Hampton, who's got some really great size, whether that's Cam Scatabo.
Genty doesn't have great size.
Doesn't have great size, but he's very powerful.
Fair enough.
He's low to the ground, but he's very built. So I think Genty still fits with what the Steelers would want to do. And the Steelers want to run a lot of outside zone. It really is better to have shiftier, faster backs and that kind of.
But with wanting to run that outside zone, you also need the offensive line to take a step up. Do you not?
Yeah, I mean, I would tend to agree with that. By the way, ESPN Network just posted the same photo of Rodgers meditating with Tomlin. So whatever that means to you, man. Like right now, you've got Ricky. Right now, you've got NFL Noties.
Has Jersey Jerry tweeted 26 yet?
Like all of the people's reporters out there are claiming Rodgers is going to choose the Steelers today. So I don't think most of these guys have inside information. I think Ricky does a little bit. So Ricky just posted here. He says, no one in the Giants building knows when Aaron Rodgers' decision will be made. They're expecting him to be a Steeler and have begun preparing contingency plans. They were told Aaron will be announcing the decision himself. They're on Panda Watch.
What does that mean?
So, and then he posts a photo of Ron Burgundy with Aaron Rodgers' face on the panda. So, they said they were told Aaron will be announcing the decision himself. So that tells me McAfee.
I think so too.
But McAfee specifically said before the show today that Rodgers was not slated to be on the show. So it's either A, he's lying and he's keeping it a surprise, or B, I don't know what the B would be. So just keep that in mind here, guys. So do me a favor here. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on the Kenneth Gainwell signing. Give me a grade for that signing. A, B, C, D, or F. Give me a grade for the signing. For me, for what it is, a number 3 running back, I think it's an A signing. All right, 1-year deal. It's not going to be a lot of money.
Probably what, $3 million?
Less than $3 million, maybe even. Like honestly, if it's $2.8 million, that's perfect because you cut Cordero Patterson, you save $2.8 million, you sign Kenneth Gainwell for $2.8 million. It all cancels out. So who's in the chat right now? We got Virginia, Predator Hunter giving it an A, T2 Funny's giving it an A. Father Dismiss is giving it an A-. Michael's giving it a B. Jay Chrome is giving it a B+. Trey Hampton's giving it an easy A. PlayStation's giving it an A-. BJ's giving it a B. Seems like people are pretty high on this signing. The lowest I've seen is a C. Tim Robinson comes in with an F, but most people are giving it an A or a B. So that's something that I kind of like right now, guys. So it sounds like this fan base is pretty appreciative of this. Gary S. says Rodgers third fastest to get the ball out. 28. What?
Russell Wilson.
28. Fields. 30th. Russell Wilson. Actually, we actually have this graphic. This is where they ranked last year. So this was their average time to throw last year. Aaron Rodgers 2.69 seconds. Justin Fields was 3.04, and Russell Wilson was 2.82. So Rodgers was 6th in average time to throw. By the way, all these numbers and rankings come from Next Gen Stats, all right? So this is not my number, all right? This is Next Gen Stats right here. So this is official NFL data. So I don't know where you're getting Russ was 28th or whatever was 30th, and Fields was 28th. Fields was 40th in average time to throw. So Rodgers was 6th, but that's still significantly higher than both Fields and Russ. And as you guys can see here, the sack percentage was way lower than both Fields and Wilson. So if you get Rodgers on the team, then that means you're going to be taking less sacks most likely next season. All right. Now, the thing about Rodgers is that his pressure to sack ratio is not great because he can't get out of the pocket as easy anymore.
Is Rodgers' average time to throw lower just because he's a faster processor?
Yes, because pretty much what it is that he's kind of like a Tom Brady, Peyton Manning style quarterback pre-snap, where like he's seen everything a defense can throw at you before, and his processing speed is just so fast. If you guys have watched the the documentary Enigma on Netflix. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's awesome. They actually did like a brain scan thing with him doing like puzzles and stuff. His brain waves move faster, like 2 times the speed of a normal person.
That's crazy.
So like this guy is one of like the fastest processors on the planet. All right, and he still has the highest level of football IQ of pretty much any quarterback in the National Football League today. So he can go to the line of scrimmage and he can figure out what a defense is trying to do extremely quickly, which allows him to make any checks he needs to make at the line of scrimmage, and then he knows exactly where he's going with the football pre-snap. And then even if, like the defense changes the look post-snap, he still has the post-snap processing ability to get to his second, third, and fourth read and find the hole in the defense. All right, so Rodgers is one of the most intelligent and fastest processing quarterbacks of all time. And, if you're looking at 2 older quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson, which guy can play that quote-unquote Tom Brady role where you got to win from the pocket more effectively at this point? I think I'd rather go with Aaron Rodgers. Russ had the better season last year statistically, but I think for what the Steelers want to do in this offense, I think Rodgers would be better in this offense. And, you can compare Aaron Rodgers' numbers to Russell Wilson's when they had the same offensive play designer, and that's Nathaniel Hackett. Last year, Aaron Rodgers was in a Hackett offense, and he scored over 3 points more per game than what Russell Wilson was able to do in that same style of offense. Now, obviously, it's not a perfect apples-to-apples comparison, right? Nathaniel Hackett, was the head coach there in Denver, different personnel. Wilson was apparently dealing with an injury that season. So all those factors do come into play there, but I think it's worth mentioning that Rodgers did play better than Wilson when they had the same offensive play designer and OC there with Nathaniel Hackett. I think that's something to keep in mind. So let's review all the moves the Steelers have made so far here, guys. DK Metcalf was kind of the belle of the ball, the big move so far. On Sunday night, it was absolutely electric. 2nd-round pick in exchange for DK Metcalf. They then gave him a 5-year, $150 million contract. That is a 4-year contract extension from his previous deal. So that will keep him in Pittsburgh for the next half decade. They also put the 2nd-round tender on restricted free agent Jaylen Warren. So a team can pick up Warren right now for that 1-year, $5.346 million deal. But if they do that, they have to send their 2nd-round pick to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And in this running back class, that's just not going to happen. So Jaylen Warren will be back next year. Today, Darius Slay is expected to be released by the Philadelphia Eagles. When that happens, he can officially sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Malik Harrison, an inside linebacker and special teams ace, has joined the Pittsburgh Steelers on a 2-year, $10 million deal. And then they have also signed Kenneth Gainwell that they signed yesterday to a 1-year contract with the details still being hashed out.
I wanted to quickly mention the Malik Harrison deal. 2 years, $10 million. Landon Roberts goes to the Raiders, 1 year, $3 million. So he signs for less. Would you have rather kept Landon Roberts at that money?
I think I would have rather kept Landon. Everybody in the locker room loves him. I love the way he plays the game, even though he's a liability in coverage and pass coverage, and that might be why the Steelers ended up letting him go. I really liked Landon Roberts, and he was cheaper than the guy that they ended up bringing in. So Harrison's a decent player.
Special teams guy?
Special teams guy, so he brings some, obviously the Steelers care a lot about special teams help, and having the best special teams in the National Football League, but, I am going to miss Landon Roberts a lot. I love the way he played. I loved his mentality, loved his presence in the locker room, and I was sorry to see E-Rob go. They also, by the way, the Steelers did bring back their backup center, Ryan McCollum, so he will be the backup center for Pittsburgh next season. So some of the latest signings around the NFL and NFL free agency. Van Jefferson signed a 1-year deal with Tennessee. I'm just glad he's not back with the Pittsburgh Steelers, if I'm being completely honest with you. Damar Hamlin is back with the Buffalo Bills. Then also... What is this? Patrick Mahomes?
Restructures, I guess.
So Patrick Mahomes restructured his deal. Same thing with Chris Jones with Kansas City. Another Steelers player leaves in free agency with Larry Ogunjobi. Team released him a couple days ago, and Larry O lands with the Buffalo Bills.
Money.
1 year, $8.3 million. I mean, pretty decent money right there. Terrell Dodson, a good linebacker, lands with the Miami Dolphins. 2 years, $8.25 million. A big signing here, Coop. Joey Bosa.
Yes.
Ricky was wrong on this one. He said he was going to be joining forces with his brother in San Francisco. He ends up going to the Buffalo Bills on a 1 year, $12.6 million deal. That's a little bit more than I thought he was going to get.
Yeah, I think people were thinking he was going to get around the $10 million per season range. He ends up getting 12.6. I wonder if Buffalo just slightly overpaid to get his services. They obviously cut Von Miller as well. So that probably puts Von back out on the market, and he won't be returning to Buffalo, I assume.
Yeah, absolutely. Roy Lopez goes to the Detroit Lions on a 1 year, $4.65 million deal. Eric Stokes, former Packer corner, goes to the Raiders on a 1 year, $4 million contract. Trent Sherfield played with the Vikings last year. He is with the Broncos now, 2 year, $8 million deal. Ashton Davis, former Jet, goes to the Miami Dolphins. DeAndre Hopkins.
I missed that one.
Nuke goes to the I told you about this one yesterday. You don't remember that?
No.
Yeah, D-Hop goes to the Ravens. You know, it's funny. I saw Ravens fans saying, "Oh, it's hilarious. The Steelers got DK Metcalf. He's washed." And then when they signed D-Hop, who's actually washed, they were celebrating the move. I mean, I can't believe it. 1 year, $5 million. I mean, D-Hop is still a pretty decent hands wide receiver. He can't move the way he used to. Obviously, he dropped that crucial catch in the Super Bowl.
Yes, he did.
Obviously, he probably wouldn't have. They probably wouldn't have won the Super Bowl if they would have made that catch, but would have made it at least maybe a game. And he might have scored on that play.
You can't trust Ravens fans. I mean, Trader Joey was producing in this channel, and now all of a sudden he's a Baltimore fan.
I mean, Trader Joey,
you can't trust those
Everybody
guys.
boo Trader Joey in the chat. Xavier Woods, a 2 year, $10 million deal. And that's about it right now. So right now, McAfee and crew and Tone Diggs are talking about Aaron Rodgers to the Steelers as we speak on McAfee. I can't hear them, but they're talking about the possibility of Mason Rudolph. And Tone Diggs has got the Ireland Steelers cap with the.
That's a cool hat.
I might need to get some. We might have to do some Ireland Steelers apparel here.
Yoder, if you're watching, send us to Ireland.
We have to do some stuff.
We should go to Ireland for the game.
That would be sweet. It looks like week 3 is going to be when this team's going to Ireland. So
that'll be an early AM watch party there for us.
Yeah. So listen, guys, if Rodgers signs, we will be giving away a Aaron Rodgers jersey today. So if you guys want to put in a $20 super chat or donation today, we'll put you into the raffle for that. So here's what I'm going to do. All right? Let's just have a running list here, Coop.
That's fine.
If you guys put in a $20 super chat, Venmo, whatever, you guys will be entered into the raffle to win the jersey raffle for whenever the quarterback signs. So if Russ signs, we will give away a Russell Wilson jersey. If Aaron Rodgers signs, we will give away a Aaron Rodgers jersey. We're eventually going to be giving away the quarterback jersey during that live show. So if you guys want to get a head start on that, $20 to get in on the raffle for the Steelers quarterback jersey raffle. All right, so we'll just get ahead of it here. Eventually, the Steelers are going to.
It's got to happen at some point, right?
At some point, the Steelers are going to sign a quarterback.
Roydricus Rice.
So Roydricus Rice coming in with a 10 says, "What the long term answer at quarterback? Sell out this year, draft, or next year draft?" So I think this year it's going to be Aaron Rodgers, and then they're going to bring in some sort of younger option. Whether that's Drew Lock, whether that's Will Levis, whether that's Malik Willis, whether that's Joe Milton. You know, last year they signed a veteran and then traded for their quote-unquote a potential long-term option, and Justin Fields traded a 6th-round pick for him last year. Could they send a 6th-round pick for Joe Milton? Could they send a 7th-round pick for Joe Milton this year? I could certainly see that being a possibility, but I also think that drafting a quarterback is also a possibility. Round 3, round 4, somewhere in that range, if there's a quarterback that they like, if they like Jalen Milroe, if they like Jackson Dart, if they like Tyler Shuck, if they like Will Howard, I could certainly see them pulling the trigger on a quarterback. in the middle rounds to be the quote-unquote long-term answer at the position. But the Steelers, the thing that you guys have to keep in mind here is that the Steelers have a 2-year timetable.
Yes, they do.
All right, because of Cam Hayward. Cam Hayward has 2 years left before he retires. So the Steelers do not have a long-term mindset right now. They have a 2-year short-term mindset to try to win a Super Bowl in the next 2 years. All right, whether you think that's a possibility or not, they don't give a shit. All right, they think that they have a chance to do that, so they're going to get the quarterback that they think gives them the best chance to win now, which is exactly why they moved off of Justin Fields. And, I want to make this point abundantly clear, Coop. They moved off of Justin Fields.
They did.
All right,
absolutely.
They offered him a contract at 2 years, $15 million per season.
They knew he wasn't accepting that.
If you're setting a hard line at $15 million per season for a quarterback, you don't believe in that quarterback. Like, plain and simply, guys. Like, if they believed in Justin Fields, they would have matched the offer with the New York Jets, and he would probably be a Steeler right now. The fact that they weren't willing to go up to $20 million to pay Justin Fields tells you exactly how they felt about him and exactly how they feel about team construction right now. They want a veteran quarterback to come in here, specifically Aaron Rodgers, according to Mike Florio. Rodgers has been the target for 2 weeks now. According to Florio, it's been the last 2 weeks. Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers have been in discussions. Okay, so this has been the number one target for the Steelers throughout the last couple of weeks, apparently. And, because of the short-term timetable, you can see why. All right? I would say at this point in time, Rodgers gives you the best chance to win a Super Bowl in the next 2 years. I guess we'll see what happens. But, we'll see if he goes to the Giants. I don't think he will. But it's going to be interesting, guys. We got $5 from Chris here. Says the Steelers need a franchise quarterback other than trading up for Cam Ward, which won't happen. Every other quarterback is just a placeholder until we do draft one. Yeah, man, like next year in the draft, I think the Steelers are set up to draft a quarterback because not only, there's the possibility that Rodgers comes in here and he just falls on his face like he did with the New York Jets.
Definitely possible.
And if that happens, the Steelers finally will be in position to take a franchise quarterback in the first round. And, and then they'll have extra draft capital because they're going to get at least 2 or 3 comp picks next year because of all the free agents that are leaving. You're going to have extra draft capital next year to move up for the guy that you want. So, I love the Rodgers move because I don't think any of the, guys in the draft, I don't think any of the short-term or the long-term options in free agency this year, including Justin Fields, are worth, making your starting quarterback this year. I would rather just, kick the tires on a veteran quarterback one more time here in Aaron Rodgers. And if he stinks next year, or this year I should say, then that's good. That puts the Steelers in a position to finally get a legit franchise quarterback talent in round 1 of the NFL draft. Plus they're going to have ammo to move up if they want. So, I think that the focus needs to be on 2026 to draft your future franchise quarterback. $2 from Ant Dollar Sign says, do you know how much cap space we have left? Unfortunately, Ant Dollar Sign, nobody knows how much cap space we have left. At least not yet. We still don't know the exact fine details on the DK Metcalf contract, and we don't know the contract details of Kenneth Gainwell. We don't know the contract details of the other players, of some of the other players that they have brought back too. So, I don't know is the answer, Ant Dollar Sign, but you don't really have to worry about that. Obviously, the Steelers know how much they have and how much they don't have at this point. So they have to stay cap compliant at this point. So whatever deal they strike with Aaron Rodgers or any other player in free agency, that they have the cap space to do it. All right, HB Unfiltered Sports Talk wants in on the QB jersey raffle. You in, HB. Appreciate
Shout
you
out, HB.
with the $25 from my man Damian Roy. Says, why are the Steelers going after a 41-year-old Rodgers coming off an Achilles tear with a busted O-line? Keep Russ, draft Dart. So second year off of the Achilles.
He didn't play last year.
He did play last year, and he played the entire season fully healthy. So that is something to keep in mind. But, and also people say the mobility is better year 2 off of an Achilles than in year 1. So keep that in mind, Damian. But the reason why, and I just laid it out, is because they think Aaron Rodgers gives them the best chance to win right now.
Yep.
And, you say, behind a busted O-line, I don't think the Steelers view this offensive line as busted. I think they believe in this O-line. They think Broderick Jones is going to be a really good player at left tackle. They think Mason McCormick is going to develop in year 2, and he's going to be a really good right guard for them. They think Troy Fautano will be able to stay fully healthy. All right, so they think that this offensive line is good to go. Time will tell if that's the case. I can certainly see the reasons why you or anybody else would be skeptical of that. We certainly have our questions as to this offensive line and how good they'll play. But I've been making this point a lot over the last 3 days, and I want to make it again here. If you're worried about the offensive line, Aaron Rodgers is the best option to mitigate a bad offensive line. Now, you might be saying, Jack, Aaron Rodgers can't move anymore. How can you say that he is the best option for the Steelers' offensive line? The answer is he gets the ball out faster than both Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. Here are the average time to throw numbers between Rodgers, Fields, and Wilson last season. Aaron Rodgers was 6th last year at 2.69. Justin Fields was 40th at 3.04. And then Russell Wilson was 28th at 2.82. Then you guys can see the sack percentages are here. Aaron Rodgers had 2 points less of a sack percentage of both Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. So Damian Roy, if you're looking for somebody that's going to help the Steelers O-line and the pass protection, and if you want to see less sacks, Aaron Rodgers getting the ball out faster is actually going to help this team take less sacks. So if that's your concern, that's why you go out and get a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers. Because you look at Rodgers, guys, he hasn't lost the arm talent. He hasn't lost the arm strength. He still has a super quick release. He still has really good pocket presence, even though he can't really move that well anymore. And he still is one of the most intelligent quarterbacks in the history of football with one of the fastest mental processors. All right, so if you're going to be looking for somebody to play Tom Brady kind of game manager football, I would rather trust Aaron Rodgers than Russell Wilson. Okay, guys, QB jersey raffle. Whenever the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers signs, we will give away a jersey of that quarterback right here on the show. So if you guys want to enter that QB jersey raffle, a $20 super chat will get you one raffle entry. A $20 Venmo, Cashapp, or PayPal will get you 2 raffle entries into that raffle. So you guys can find me at Jack-Sperry on Venmo, # Captain Jack 19 on Cash App, or at Captain Jack Rabbit on PayPal. So if you guys want to get 2 raffle tickets and double your chances of winning, you guys can send in your money to Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal. All of this information is also in the live description of today's show. Before we get into more talk about the Steelers free agency and Aaron Rodgers watch and all that stuff, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Mando. And what do you guys have to do in order to get ready for a first date? You get a new haircut, you clean your car, you get your fit together. All that stuff is great, but deodorant is an absolute non-negotiable, ladies and gentlemen. That's where my favorite whole body deodorant comes in with Mando. Mando is safe to use anywhere on your body and is clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. Also, Mando's entire line of products are baking soda free, paraben free, and you can choose from a variety of fresh scents like my personal favorite, bourbon leather, but they also have other great scents such as Clover Woods, Mount Fuji, or Pro Sport. New customers get $5 off a starter pack when you use our exclusive code and link. Use code CHAT at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Mando starter pack is perfect for new customers because it comes with a solid stick of deodorant, cream tube deodorant, and 2 free products of your choice. You can choose between things like mini body wash, and also the deodorant wipes are very highly recommended as well. Plus, you get free shipping. As a special offer for our listeners, new customers get $5 off that starter pack with our exclusive code that equates to over 40% off your starter pack. So use code CHAT at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando Whole Body Deodorant today. Smooty Booty, $20 in on the raffle. Says, I like my odds. Put me in for a Duck Hodges jersey. All right, Smooty Booty.
I don't think we have to worry about Duck Hodges being the starting QB.
I don't think we have to worry about Duck Hodges.
I think you got a couple Venmos, so go ahead and send me those.
10-4.
They're talking about Anthony Richardson right now. I wonder if Anthony Richardson finds a trade this offseason.
What's that?
I wonder if Anthony Richardson finds a trade.
I don't think so.
You think he'll compete with Daniel Jones?
Yeah, I think unless he like demands a trade out.
Yeah.
I don't think Richardson is a viable option.
Fair enough.
Oh my goodness, we got are these from yesterday? Yeah, they're from. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
If you haven't already, by the way, hit the thumbs up icon. It's a free and easy way to help out the channel. Like the video, push this to more Steelers fans all around the globe. We are on Aaron Rodgers watch, day 3. This could last a long time. This could end in 5 minutes.
Yeah, we have no idea when this is going to come down, but it definitely sounds like it's going to be Steelers, and it's felt like it's going to be Steelers.
Yep.
But then, like, the question is, why is it taking so long then? Like, why is it taking so long to come to a conclusion here? And the longer this goes on, the more I worry that there could be a change at the last minute.
I agree.
So, we'll see. And if the Steelers don't get Aaron Rodgers, then I'm guessing they'll turn back to Russ. But apparently, there's the relationship between Russ and the team, specifically with offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, is not in a good place right now. So, like, do you really want Russ back if, like, he's not really welcome back in the locker room?
Right.
It's like that's a little bit of an issue for me.
Shout out to our guy Justin Yankuski, who gets in the raffle with the 20.
By the way, Justin won our jersey on the first day of free agency as well. So Justin getting his name back in the ring here. $20. He says he wants an Aaron Rodgers jersey if he wins.
Sounds good to me.
Best of luck to you, Justin.
Shout out to Kyler with the $2 Venmo.
He says, when will we sign Hilton? So Kyler, appreciate you. We'll get to Kyler's question here in just a second. Justin asks, when are we going to sign Hilton? I hope today.
Hopefully soon.
Hilton would be a hell of an addition to this football team. Of course, he was on this team before, and he was kind of like he was kind of a stud on this defense before as kind of a blitzing extraordinaire as a slot corner. I would love for him to be back here as that slot blitzing specialist to give something offenses have to deal with week in and week out. I would absolutely love that. All right, so Ian Rappaport says Cooper Kupp to be released soon and to sign somewhere quickly. So we could get a Cooper Kupp announcement. Benjamin Albright, for what it's worth, predicts that he will be a Jacksonville Jaguar, not a Pittsburgh Steeler. So just keep that in mind. Kyler says, what would they get if they trade their first-round pick back, late first, and a second-round pick? And listen, man, I would love to get a second-round pick along with a trade down in round 1. It might be a third-round pick because the Steelers don't exactly have a high, first-round pick, right? It's number 21 overall, so it's in the second half of the first round. So if you can get a second-round pick in a trade-down scenario, that would be obviously the ideal compensation, but it might have to be more of like a third-round pick where you end up getting 2/3 and you use one of those on a quarterback maybe use one of those on a running back, maybe use one of those on a DT, but I could certainly see that. So Dan Orlovsky on Pat McAfee has said that Aaron Rodgers is quote-unquote clearly the best option for the Pittsburgh Steelers at this point. Let me see if we have any updates on what McAfee and what Tone Diggs were saying on the show earlier.
Shout out to CJ3 with the $20 Venmo as well. Appreciate you, CJ.
So Pat McAfee said on his show that the retweet that he put out earlier is not because he has any inside information on Rodgers, just that it came back up on his timeline, and he thinks that it's relevant to the conversation that he formally said he loves the city of Pittsburgh.
Fair enough.
So, it appears McAfee doesn't have any inside information at this point. But I think he knows where he wants Rodgers to go.
Yep.
And he wants to go to his hometown Pittsburgh Steelers. CJ3, appreciate you. $20. He is in on the raffle now with the $20. It's a Cashapp. So appreciate you, CJ3 the third. $20 also from Father Dismas. Father, you are in on the jersey raffle as well. Says we need A-Rod to lead the Steelers to beat GB in the Super Bowl. It is poetic. First of all, I don't know if Green Bay makes it to the Super Bowl with Jordan Love. I'm honestly not the biggest Jordan Love guy in the world. I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback in the league.
I don't either.
He's a decent starter, but like he's so inconsistent. He's not very accurate. Last year he threw a lot of turnover-worthy plays. But I think that last one, Coop, if we can go back to fathers before we get to Jacks, there is a point that I want to make here. When it comes to Aaron Rodgers, and you look at the schedule that the Steelers have, the Steelers play the Green Bay Packers, the New York Jets, the Chicago Bears, the Minnesota Vikings, the Detroit Lions, like the entire slate of teams that he would want to play to finish out his career. The Steelers play those teams this year. By the way, they might be playing Green Bay in Ireland this year.
They could be.
All right, I think that's actually official that they are playing Green Bay in Ireland this year.
It is Green Bay.
I think it is Green
nice.
Bay. That would be awesome, man, for him to play against his former team in Ireland, and then also play the Jets in MetLife. By the way, we play them on the road this year. So, like, if Rodgers is looking to get some revenge and go on almost like a revenge tour, I think the schedule is perfect for Aaron Rodgers in kind of a last dance kind of scenario. 28 Canadian from Jack Taylor, appreciate you. Says we got to stick with Russ. He's got threats that really complement his play style. Now, yeah, Jack, like if it ends up being Russell Wilson, I think on paper it makes a lot of sense. With the deep ball threats on this offense, Russell Wilson threw the most effective deep ball in the league last year. He says bringing in a toxic quarterback to such a loyal organization won't help us. Thanks, guys. We appreciate you, Jack. But apparently, the relationship between Russell Wilson and Arthur Smith is already pretty toxic.
It's not good either, yeah.
So, like, if the goal is to avoid toxicity, I understand Rodgers might not be like the ideal option to do that, but apparently there's already some toxicity between Russ and Arthur Smith. How real those reports are, who knows? Maybe they're being overblown. Maybe Arthur Smith wouldn't mind to have Russell Wilson back. But this is what I'll say, guys. If Russell Wilson was the preferred option of the Steelers right now, he would be signed. All right? Like, it's very clear that their preferred quarterback at this point in time is Aaron Rodgers. And right now, the Giants feel the same way.
Yes, they do.
Right now, Russell Wilson is waiting on on Aaron Rodgers to make his decision. So it's like, if the Giants want Rodgers and the Steelers want Rodgers, that's two NFL teams right there that are telling you Aaron Rodgers is still better than Russell Wilson at this point in his career. And as somebody that has watched the film on Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson extensively, I come to the same conclusion. Because I think Rodgers does a lot of the same things Russ does well. He throws a really good deep ball. He still has really good arm talent. He protects the football. He doesn't throw over the middle of the field all that much, which is something Mike Tomlin wants in his offense. He's got a Super Bowl. He has tons of playoff experience, which is also important to Mike Tomlin. He has all the same positive qualities as Russ, but then also he gets the ball out faster, and he's a better post-snap processor at this point in his career than Russ is. So he gives you everything Russ gives you, but he also adds on it. So I think that's what the Steelers are looking at. And I think that's why the Steelers are pursuing Rodgers instead of Russell Wilson. Appreciate the question, Jack. You are in on the raffle. Shady, $2. Says, imagine the Steelers surprise us and sign Burrow.
I don't think we have to worry about that.
I don't think we have to worry about that. Burrow's locked up long-term with Cincinnati. And the only way that could happen is if they trade for Burrow. And there's just no way in fucking hell that the Cincinnati Bengals are trading Joe Burrow to their arch nemesis. Just not going to happen.
I'd love it.
I would love it.
Not happening.
I will say, though, closest thing to Joe Burrow in this draft is Tyler Shuck.
No way.
He's a negative calorie version of him. Where he's not Joe Burrow.
He's the celery version?
Yeah, he's not Joe Burrow. But Tyler Shuck plays the game in a similar style to Joe Burrow. And he's a very similar type of physical talent. Like, they're both great mental processors. They're both really good with anticipation. They both have honestly, I think Shuck's arm is better than Burrow's.
If we got Joe Burrow, we'll do a 9-hour stream.
Yeah, we'll do a 9-hour stream. We'll do a 9-hour stream if we trade for Joe Burrow because it's not happening. So our goal, guys,
what was the stream that we promised?
We promised, I think it was, what's Ayuk's number? 11.
11, yeah.
Yeah, we promised an 11-hour live stream if we traded for Ayuk. And then I said I would do, what was Devontae's number? 17?
17,
that I would do 17 hours if we got Devontae Adams.
We did not promise 14 for DK.
We did not promise 14 for DK, but we had a good, 4-hour stream, something like that?
Yeah, like 3.5, something like that.
Yeah, we had a good stream.
Good,
we had a good stream for DK. Right now, guys, we're kind of getting close to 78,000 subscribers here, guys.
Let's go.
We've already added almost 1.5 thousand subscribers since the DK Metcalf trade. So thank you to everybody that's new to the channel and click that subscribe button. We greatly appreciate your support. We're going to be live here pretty much every day during McAfee until Rodgers decides.
More or less.
Whether that's today, whether that's tomorrow. We won't be going live during the weekend. We have days off on the weekend, but we're going to be here for as long as it takes. We're going to be here on Aaron Rodgers Watch here on Steelers Talk Live until they get a quarterback. $20 from William D, my man. He's in on the raffle. Says we don't have a second this year. That being said, we need defensive line, running back, and young quarterback. So in the draft, is that Joe? I don't know what that word is. How would you
How would you prioritize the picks?
Seems like decent backup QBs and running backs will be round 3.
Dave Dog.
So, William, the way that I would do it is I would trade down. I would be looking for a trade down and recoup another day 2 pick. Try to get a day 2 pick from somebody. But if you can't get a day 2 pick, I would also take a day 3 pick to move down a couple of spots. So that's what I would be looking for, William. I would draft, best player available at DT, running back in round 1, and then I would look to get a young quarterback in round 3, and then also whatever I don't draft in round 1, I would draft that position in round 3 as well.
Shout out to intern Avery who brought us some fans.
Intern. That's
intern Sam, intern Avery.
No. That is the fun doctor.
For
the fun doctor Penny. Comes in, giving us some fans. It is really hot in the studio.
It is a little moist in here right now.
So she's helping us out right now, providing a little bit of cool air.
Appreciate you, Pen Dog.
I don't think you need the squat. I don't think you'd be on the camera there.
Well, you may not be on the camera considering how tall.
Just come on camera here for a second. Oh my goodness! Everyone say hi to Penny. She's helping us out. It's really hot in the studio today, but oh my goodness!
Appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Penny.
Former Commanders safety Derek Forrest into the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, another Bills signing here. Derek Forrest, he kind of stinks. Derek Forrest is not a good player, but he's going to the Bills. So there's that. Thank you, Penny.
Thanks, Penny.
So, where are we at right now? So again, guys, we'll be giving away a Steelers jersey of the new quarterback whenever we eventually sign one. If you want in on the jersey raffle, it's $20 to get in on Super Chat. And if you send in a Venmo, Cashapp, or PayPal for $20, we'll give you double the raffle tickets. The reason why the people that send in Venmo, Cashapp, and PayPal get extra tickets, by the way, is because we get to keep more of the money on Venmo, Cashapp, and PayPal. With Super Chat, YouTube takes a 30% cut of the money you guys send in.
What a joke.
All right? So, if you send in Venmo, Cashapp, or PayPal, we get to keep more of the money. You get extra raffle tickets. We both win. So we're not going to say no to Super Chats, but if you guys want to send in Venmos, Cash Apps, or PayPals, you can double your raffle tickets if you guys want to get in on the jersey raffle. Still got over 1,000 people watching here on Aaron Rodgers Watch with us. It is 12:45 p.m. on the East Coast. Apparently, Pat McAfee does not have any inside information right now.
You know he has inside info. He's just holding it.
He might just be holding it. But he is a Pittsburgh native, and he has a very big soft spot for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yes, he does. Steelers and Colts are his two favorite teams.
I think it's very obvious at this point where he wants Aaron Rodgers to go.
Oh, that's very clear.
Between the Giants and the Steelers, I think it's very obvious who Pat McAfee and, of course, Tone Diggs, who is just a straight-up Steelers fan, want Aaron Rodgers to go at this point. So I want to address this. Pink Dot says it was reported an hour ago that negotiations between Rodgers and Steelers aren't going well. What are your thoughts? So that was Mike Florio. Florio and Sims on their show today.
And let's keep it a buck.
He
doesn't know anything.
Florio sucks. But he was the one to say that the Steelers and him were engaging in talks.
Fair.
But Florio said this morning he thinks it's not going well because the Steelers have not gotten it done yet. And he's saying that he thinks there's a gap, and a fairly large gap, between the money Rodgers wants and what the Steelers are willing to give up.
I don't necessarily disagree with that because I feel like if negotiations were going smoothly, they'd already have agreed to a deal.
Yeah, but
I'm not expecting it to be easy negotiation.
From my understanding, Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers had a conversation on Monday. They had their conversations on Monday. The Steelers extended an offer to him on Monday. Rodgers said that he wanted to think about it, and he spent all day yesterday and all day so far today without giving the Steelers an answer. So the Steelers and Rodgers have not talked since Monday. So it's not like they're going back and forth and like they're so far apart on negotiations.
Yeah,
it's more like the Steelers have submitted an offer to him and he's still deciding whether or not to take it. But the question is, why is he taking so long to take it?
Because he's Aaron Rodgers.
It's like, is he going into the darkness right now to get the vision of him playing with the Steelers?
He's going to Joshua Tree, taking his ayahuasca.
Is he taking the ayahuasca right now?
Penny knows about ayahuasca.
Is he just, the one thing that I will say about Aaron Rodgers is that he dances.
It's a beast.
He dances to the beat of his own drum.
Trader Joey says he's a giant.
He's a giant.
Trader Joey just came into our office and said Rodgers is a giant.
It's either he's a giant.
Trader Joey, can you explain your Ravens fans bashing us for signing veteran wide receivers, but then you sign Nuke Hopkins and you guys love it?
Because you guys signed veteran wide receivers to be wide receiver ones. We signed to be wide receiver 3s.
We just signed DK.
There's levels.
We just traded DK for DK Metcalf, so.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, we did.
And, if it is a money thing, Coop,
There's no way it's a money thing.
I think there's a way it's a money thing, but, I just don't want to overpay for him. You guys know, if you've been watching the show, my take on the situation is that if the money is even, I'd rather have Aaron Rodgers. But if you're paying significantly more for Rodgers compared to Russ, I'd rather have Russ. Like, if it exceeds $10 million more per season, I would rather just go with Russell Wilson. But, we don't know where the negotiations are at right now. Bob Locke, $5 Super Chat, says, what other free agency moves do you think the Steelers are likely working on besides the quarterback? Well, right now, I do have a running list of guys that I would like to sign. I don't know if the Steelers would want to bring in any of these guys, but I would really like to bring back Mike Hilton. He was awesome in this defense. He's still a really good player. Pairing him up with Darius Slay and Joey Porter Jr., I think would complete the Steelers secondary. So I would love for them to get a Mike Hilton deal done. Dalvin Tomlinson is expected to be released by the Browns today. I would love for him to sign with the Steelers and be this team's next nose tackle. Trent Brown is a free agent, and I wanted the Steelers to sign him last year in free agency, and he's now available this year. I would have him as a swing tackle. He'd be my ideal swing tackle option. Isaiah Simmons could be a defensive chess piece. Armin Watts was really productive with this team in a rotational role 2 seasons ago. I would love for them to bring him back. Alan Lazard, if they bring in Aaron Rodgers, I think would be a really good depth piece at wide receiver and a cheap one. And then Kyle Juszczyk, if Arthur Smith wants to really dive into the 2 running back set kind of world, he kind of dipped his toe in those waters last year with Connor Hayward as a fullback. But Kyle Juszczyk is the best fullback in the game. So if they want to bring him in on a cheap deal, I certainly wouldn't mind that at all. $5 from Bob Locke.
That was the one he just asked.
Oh, that's the one that he asked. Appreciate you, Bob. Thank you.
Rodgers
comes in with a 2, says, any guess on dollar amount for Rodgers? My guess is the Steelers have offered him somewhere in the range of 20 to 25 million per season.
That's kind of what I think too.
And he might want a little bit more than that. That it's a possibility he wants more money, but it's also a possibility he's just thinking about it. Like he's just, he's sleeping on it. Still, in the darkness. Like I don't know where he is right now, but like last time when he made his decision as to whether to retire or go to the New York Jets, he went into the darkness. And he came out wanting to still play. So maybe this time he just didn't announce it to the world. Maybe he's in the darkness right now, and he just hasn't told anybody about it.
What do you think? What if he's in the darkness and he just comes out and says, "Actually, I'm retiring"?
And that's possible.
It
actually is still possible. But the fact that he's taking calls from Pittsburgh, the fact that he's taking calls from the Giants, that tells me that he probably still wants to play. I think that if he would have retired, he probably would have already announced it. So if I'd have to guess right now, Rodgers, on the dollar amount, I would guess the Steelers want it at somewhere in between 20 to 25 million per season on a 2-year deal. But, I don't know. Will they be forced to have to give him more money? If it exceeds the Sam Darnold contract,
I'd be shocked.
If it's over $30 million per season, I think it's a really bad deal for the Steelers. That's my opinion. Like, I'd be willing to go up to 30, but I wouldn't be willing to go past that. And even 30, it's like, man, that's pretty expensive for a guy that was not a productive quarterback last year.
James says, do we have 2 third-round picks now?
Oh, we don't. We have one. We have 1 third-round pick right now, James. I believe we have a first-round pick, a third-round pick, a fourth-round pick, a fifth-round pick.
Even with the updated
2 sevenths.
Even with the updated comp picks?
Yeah. But the Steelers got 0 comp picks because their comp picks are expected to come in next year.
Okay, gotcha.
For the free agents that are signing this year. So the Steelers are expected to have like at least 3 or 4 comp picks next year, so they're going to be loaded on draft picks next year. AKM, $5, says you don't pay Mike Hilton when you can literally get a DB in the draft. But here's the thing, man. Like, Mike Tomlin doesn't like starting rookies at DB. Like that's
we saw it with Beanie Bishop last year.
Like AKM, I do think the Steelers will draft a corner in the middle rounds, round 4, round 5, to play behind Darius Slay and Joey Porter Jr. But like they need a slot corner. Beanie Bishop Jr. He was in the right place at the right time, made some big plays for this defense last year.
4 picks, I believe.
But his size, his super tiny nature, makes him a liability in coverage. So I would rather get a better player at the position. And if they go into the draft without a slot corner, like I could see them take Jahdae Barron if he falls to them at 21. He's a hell of a player, and he can play in the slot. But personally, I would rather just pay Mike Hilton and see what his contract would be. Obviously, I'm not going to overpay for him or anything like that. I'd pay him market rate, but he's a very good player. He was a star player, in my opinion, in this defense. He made this, he was a big part of this defense when he was a part of it, and I was very sad to see him go when he left for the Bengals, and now he's available again. I would love to bring Mike Hilton back. $2 says, why not overpay some if we are truly, quote-unquote, competing?
I don't disagree with that. If you think he's the piece to truly competing in the AFC, I'd give him a little bit of an overpay.
But also the answer is they still feel somewhat comfortable with Russ.
Yeah, that's fair.
They still feel like, and if you pay Russ less money, then you have more money to spend on free agents and make this team better, like on a Mike Hilton, for example. So that would be the reasoning, Brian. The reason why they don't want to overpay if they are trying to compete is that they think that they need the cap space to be able to get the players to fill out the rest of the roster. So, like I said, I might be willing to go up to 30 on Aaron Rodgers, but like the 2 years, $90 million guess that Mike Florio had the other day, I think is completely off the rails. I just don't think there's any chance Rodgers gets that. Could the Giants offer him 2 years, 45? Maybe.
They're not even close to competing, so.
Like, here's the thing with Rodgers and the Giants. The Giants were willing to give Stafford 2 years, $100 million.
Yeah.
And they're desperate for a veteran quarterback. So, like, I don't doubt that the Giants are willing to give Aaron Rodgers more money. But, like, at this point, I think Rodgers needs to make a decision. Do you want more money?
Is it about the money or?
Yeah, is it about the money or is it about trying to win?
Yeah.
And right now, I think Rodgers has an offer on the table from the Giants that's more money than the Steelers. And he's trying to get the Steelers to match it because he wants to play for the Steelers. I truly believe that. Out of the options available, the Steelers clearly give him the best chance to win. Definitely have the most stable situation. But I think he also wants to get paid, too. So I think he's using the Giants' offer that they've given to him as leverage to try and get the Steelers to up their price. I think that's more than possible. Space Dot says slap in the face to Justin if they pay Aaron Rodgers $40 million.
Disagree. Aaron Rodgers is twice as good as Justin Fields. Thus, double the price.
You know what I found out yesterday? You know what I realized yesterday? Try to guess how many games Justin Fields has won in his career where the defense gave up 20 points or more. So 20 points. So that is below league average, by the way.
Can you count them on one hand?
Yes. Yes and no.
So 5.
No.
4?
No.
Do you have 6 fingers?
No.
Less than 4?
Less than 4.
3?
Nope.
1?
Nope.
0?
It is 0. Justin Fields, as the starting quarterback of an NFL team, has never won a game where the defense gave up 20 or more
That's
points.
actually crazy.
He is 0-22.
And isn't he like 2-17 in game-winning drives or something like that?
Yeah, and one of them, he got the ball on
yeah.
the opposing team's like 20-yard line, went 3 and out, and kicked a game-winning field goal. So it's really like 1 for 16 on game-winning drives. And then the other one was the Vikings game on Monday Night Football with the Bears a couple years ago, where he fumbled twice in the fourth quarter. So the one time he's actually come back and had a game-winning drive, he fumbled twice in the fourth quarter, and his defense bailed him out.
AKM with the 2 says, if Jahdae Barron or Kenneth Grant is there, you draft them. Agreed. Which one would you pick between those 2 if they're there?
Right now, I would pick Kenneth Grant.
Okay.
Right now, I'd pick Kenneth Grant. Now, if the Steelers signed Dalvin Tomlinson, then I would rather take Jahdae Barron.
For sure.
But, you know, it just depends what the Steelers do in free agency. It really does. Like, dude, when I saw that yesterday, I literally couldn't believe it. Just
0!
In 4 years in the National Football League, 0 games where the defense gave up 20 points, Justin Fields won the game.
That is unbelievable.
Like, you have to be able to win football games, and you have to be able to win games where the defense is giving up points. Like, Russell Wilson had 2 games alone last season where the team gave up 20 points or more and they won.
What a joke.
Justin Fields has 0 in the entire career. I mean, if that doesn't tell you the kind of quarterback Justin Fields has been to this point, I just don't know what will, guys. $2 from Rhodes. Size has nothing to do with heart. Bishop is a player. Listen, man, I appreciate Beanie. I really do. You know, I think he plays with good instincts, but like he went undrafted for a reason. All right, like when he was out there, he was a liability in coverage. All right, so I love Beanie. I understand why you like him, Rhodes. I don't disagree with that aspect of the thinking there. It's just I think Mike Hilton would upgrade this defense. I just think that'd be the case. Let's see, $5 from.
Nope.
Oh no, never mind.
Oh, you also have a couple of Venmos. Send me those.
All right, I got a couple of Venmos here. I'm going to send those to Coop.
$5 from Justin Gordon. Sperry will answer this question here in a moment. AR is not even here yet, and being a drama queen, getting the ball out fast means nothing. Big Ben did it. We went 11-0 and still fell apart. Mike T lied about mobility. Those are some serious accusations there, Justin. And getting the ball out fast does mean a lot because it makes the offense much more efficient. So
you take less sacks.
Take less sacks. If you take less sacks, you score more points.
Like obviously it's a multivariate equation, but like that's a very real aspect of the equation.
Cool.
All right, just sent them all to you.
Sounds good.
Justin, appreciate you, my man. I disagree. I do think getting the ball out fast does mean something. Here's what it does. You ask any offensive lineman, what do they prefer? A quarterback that can move or a quarterback that gets the ball out fast? Every single one will tell you one that can get the ball out fast. Because why? Because it gives the offensive lineman more room for error. It gives them less time to have to hold up. If you got a guy like Justin Fields who's 40th in time to throw and is constantly holding on to the football, then the offensive line needs to hold up for longer. And against NFL-level pass rushers, that's very difficult to do. But if you have a guy like Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, some of these guys that are elite mental processors and get the ball out fast, then they don't have to hold up for as long. And that helps out the pass protection because the room for error is larger. So it absolutely is a big factor to the equation. And the evidence for this, Coop, if you want to put up the sack percentages of Aaron Rodgers, Justin Fields, and Russell Wilson last year, Aaron Rodgers, despite the fact that he is not the athlete he used to be, and everybody always points out he can't move anymore, his sack percentage last year with the Jets was 2 points less than both Justin Fields and Russell Wilson last year. All right? And why is that? It's because Rodgers, at least in part, got the ball out faster than both of them. Much faster. 6th in average time to throw last year for Rodgers, whereas Russ was 28th and Justin was 40th. So, you can ignore the numbers if you want, but it's a pretty well-known thing that if you get the ball out faster, you take less sacks, which is an important thing. It's not the only thing, but it is something. And, the reason why I do think Rodgers is the superior option to Fields or Russ, and by the way, I'd be okay if Russ comes back. I still think he's a pretty decent quarterback. Last year's collapse was not on him. I have said that a million times. And I don't think the gap between Rodgers and Wilson is all that big because they bring a lot of the positive qualities that you want your quarterback to bring. All right? They have a ton of experience in the playoffs. They both still have really high-end arm talent. They both protect the football. They both avoid the middle of the field, which limits turnovers, and they love to throw the deep ball down the sideline. All right, so they're very similar quarterbacks stylistically, but Rodgers gets the football out faster, which will mitigate sacks, and then Rodgers also is better post-snap processor and can get the ball out to the right person past his first read, whereas Russell Wilson struggles in that department. Got a $20 Venmo here from Daniel Sharp. Daniel Shane. Says Rodgers may be the best option, but if we wait too long on signing, we may end up without a veteran. Honestly, I like a Shuck or Dart jersey as our Shuck or Dart option as our starting quarterback, as our future option. I don't disagree, Daniel, at all. My ideal situation this year would be Aaron Rodgers with Tyler Shuck or Jackson Dart. But I would want to draft Shuck or Dart in round 3 and not round 1. So that would be the perfect scenario for me. You have somebody that I think has some talent that can develop behind Aaron Rodgers while Rodgers and the team try to win now. And I think that would be the best way to go about it this season. And then if the team stinks and you're in position to take a good quarterback in round 1 next year and you don't necessarily believe in Shuck or Dart, you can then take a quarterback then. All right, I think that's the best way to go about it. It's not the ideal quarterback situation. I think we all understood going into this offseason the Steelers were going to have limited options at quarterback. But I think at this point, that is the best path forward. Coop, do you agree, disagree?
Absolutely, I agree, man. I think at this point, the Steelers are trying to do everything they can to get a Super Bowl in the next 2 years. And the way they do that is by signing a veteran quarterback. The best veteran quarterbacks on the market for them and what makes the most sense are Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson. So.
And by the way, the NFL is telling you which quarterback is better right now.
Because both are trying to sign Rodgers.
Yeah, both the Steelers and the Giants want Rodgers over Russ.
That's correct.
So that should tell. Maybe both of them are wrong. Maybe the Giants and the Steelers are both idiots, which is possible.
Could be.
It's possible that both teams are complete idiots. But the fact that two separate NFL teams and their scouting departments and all this different stuff want Aaron Rodgers over Russell Wilson, I think shows you that the tape still shows Rodgers can still play at a high level. Because, listen, man, the Steelers and the Giants, I maybe they're wrong on this, but I can tell you this right now, they have done their homework. They have had their NFL scouts scout these two quarterbacks and say, you know what? We think Rodgers would be a better fit for us.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens. Pink Dot comes in with, I think, a $3.
You sent a 2 and a 3.
What's that?
A 2 and a 3 from Pink Dot, so I combined it.
A 2 and a 3?
That's what you sent me?
Oh, I meant to. It is a 2 and a 1, so it's $3.
$3. Okay,
yeah, so
okay.
that I updated the number
Gotcha.
with the 3. So I see where the miscommunication was. But Pink Dot sent in a 3. And let's see if Pink Dot sent in a message. I think he did. Pink Dot. I do not see a message. Oh no, there it is. Says, thanks for the insight. Yins are great. Thank you so much, Pink Dot.
Pink Dot!
Says, where do you watch college tape? I have NFL Plus for all 22. So college tape is tricky. So with the college,
You got to have people.
you got to have connections to get college tape. So I've got friends in the different departments at a bunch of different schools that have tape on a bunch of different players. So I unfortunately, there's not a subscription service out there that has college tape. At least not one that I have. I have to get mine from the schools themselves with the people that I know from within those buildings. So that's where I get mine. If somebody else has a place where you can get college film, feel free to share, but that's where I get mine. $5 from James says, I looked it up. We got a 3rd-round pick for Dan Moore. Is that wrong? That's for next year.
Next season.
So for next season, so the thing that you are referencing there is a report that the Steelers are projected to get potentially a 3rd-round pick for Dan Moore Jr. next offseason. All right, because Dan Moore Jr. just signed with Tennessee. So the rule goes that comp picks for players that are signed in this free agency don't come to the Steelers until next offseason, James. All right, so the Steelers honestly have a lot of players that are worth comp picks. Dan Moore Jr., Najee Harris, Justin Fields, all these guys the Steelers can get comp picks for next year. So I expect the Steelers to have 3 or 4 comp picks at this point, depending on what they do in free agency from now on. But, the Steelers, it was announced yesterday, have 0 comp picks for this year. So just to know that. $2 from Justin. Appreciate you, Justin. Says AR has a lower sack percentage in W's in 2024. Listen, man, Justin, what did we say? Obviously, sack percentage isn't the only thing that matters. All right, it is a multivariate equation. All right, but when you're talking about sack numbers, if you want to take less sacks, then Rodgers would be the one to take less sacks. All right, so that in that specific part of the equation, Rodgers would be better. And then, as I just laid out, Rodgers has a lot of the same similarities that Russ brings to the table. So, they both have playoff experience. They both have a very similar style of play where they like to throw the ball deep and down the sideline. All right, they both are very good pre-snap processors. And by the way, Justin, I have said that I would be okay bringing Russell Wilson back next year. I would be okay with it. All right, I do not think the collapse from this team was his fault. But I think along with all the similarities and the things they do well, the sacks, I think, favor Rodgers, which is another element of the equation. And because Rodgers does a lot of the same things that Russ does well, but he also adds a couple of positives, that is why I prefer him over Russ. It's okay if you disagree. One of my favorite parts about this community is that we can respectfully disagree on stuff like this. And to be honest, I don't think the difference between Rodgers and Russ is that much. All right, if he goes to the Giants and the Steelers re-sign Russ, I will be fine with that. I think the Steelers are a playoff team with Russell Wilson next year. This is not an argument for me saying Russell Wilson is a terrible NFL quarterback. That's not the argument that I make.
You just think
I just think Rodgers is slightly better.
Yep.
All right, and the sack part of it is part of the equation. All right, so obviously Anthony Richardson, sure, he took less sacks last year, but then he also completed 50% of his passes. His accuracy is not anywhere near Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. So, just looking at one stat isn't necessarily
whole picture.
It's about looking at the whole picture, Justin. And I think that with the whole picture kind of analysis, I would come to the conclusion that Rodgers is slightly better, but it's not that much of a difference in my opinion. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Really do appreciate all of you guys sticking with us here. Right now, we've got 940 people watching live around the world, waiting for news on Aaron Rodgers to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And right now, we are doing a jersey raffle where you guys can get double the raffle tickets if you use Venmo, Cashapp, or PayPal. It's $20 to enter into the raffle, and we'll be doing the raffle once the Steelers sign their starting quarterback. Whether that's Aaron Rodgers, whether that's Russell Wilson, or whether that's somebody else, we will be giving away a jersey for the new starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
If it's somebody else, I'll be pissed.
I'll be pretty pissed if it's somebody else too. Like, if you go into the season next year with Joe Milton as your starting quarterback, it's like,
fire everyone.
I mean, I think Joe Milton has a chance to maybe develop into a starter. He looked pretty good at the end of the season last year, but like to bank on him in a win now kind of season would be bonkers, in my opinion.
Way.
Also, guys, if you have a question that you want to get on the show, feel free to super chat. We address every single question that gets super chatted and Venmo'd to us. So if you guys have a question you want to get on the show, don't be afraid to send in a super chat. So just to kind of recap the moves that the Steelers have made so far in free agency, DK Metcalf traded for on Sunday night after Devontae Adams decided to sign with the Los Angeles Rams. The Steelers sent a second-round pick to the Seahawks and gave Metcalf a 4-year extension. Right now he's under contract for a 5-year deal, $150 million, which makes him a top 5 paid receiver in the game. Jaylen Warren, second-round tender. So a team would have to give up their second-round draft pick in order to acquire Jaylen Warren. Highly doubt that happens. Fully expect Jaylen Warren to be on this team next year. Darius Slay is expected to be released by the Philadelphia Eagles today, and he is expected to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers pretty much immediately after that. Malik Harrison is a depth linebacker / special teamer that they signed to replace Landon Roberts. 2 years, $10 million over those 2 years. And then last night, Kenneth Gainwell signed a 1-year deal, kind of a secondary running back, scat back, that I really love the fit with here in Pittsburgh. Some of the players that were with this team last year that were contributors, starters, etc. Dan Moore Jr. ended up signing a massive contract with the Tennessee Titans.
4 years, $82 million.
I mean, good for Dan, but goodness gracious, he's not worth that money. So Dan Moore got away with highway robbery, and honestly, Tennessee's made some bad signings. Dan Moore, Van Jefferson. I kind of think they're going to sign Russ.
They might. That wouldn't be a bad signing.
They might sign Russ.
That wouldn't be a bad signing.
I'm not even joking. Justin Fields ended up going to the Jets. By the way, the fact that the Steelers only offered him $15 million per season.
You didn't really want him.
You didn't really want him if you only wanted him for $15 million. That's all I'll say about that. Dante Jackson going to the Los Angeles Chargers. Struggled in coverage last year. Have no problem with the team letting him go. James Daniels. Good player.
I think that's a good signing.
That's a great signing for Miami, and it's a great place for him. Like, if he's going to have a bounce-back season off of that Achilles, it'll be there with Mike McDonald, or not with Mike McDonald, Mike McDaniels there with the Dolphins. Chargers, another really good fit here. I'm really happy Najee landed with the Chargers because they run a lot of power and gap schemes there, and that's perfect for his play style. He is a freight train power back at this point in his career. That's a perfect fit for the Chargers. Landon Roberts ended up going to the Raiders on a 1-year, $3 million contract. I would have liked to see Landon come back here. I like the way he plays. Great locker room presence. Loves football. Great locker room guy. But, it just sucks to see him go. That's all I'll say about that.
And I thought, like we said, like, signing Harrison to 2 years, $10 million versus Roberts 1 year, $3 million. I would have picked Roberts personally.
Yeah, I mean, you get special teams value from Harrison, which I think was probably the deciding factor there. Plus, Roberts is a complete liability in pass coverage. But yeah, I would have, with the contracts knowing what they ended up at, I would have rather had Roberts at $3 million.
I also wonder if Roberts gets some starting reps with the Raiders. So
yeah, we shall see. Larry Ogunjobi also signed with the Buffalo Bills. I believe it was earlier today.
Yeah, $8.5
maybe last night. I can't remember. But Ogunjobi to Buffalo. Best of luck to him. And then Van Jefferson, another terrible signing by the Titans. He will not do anything with them next year. But best of luck to him. $5 from Steve Young. What's up, man? Says trade out of the first round for a bunch of picks, including a second and draft a quarterback in second round, or is the 21st pick too valuable to us? I think, Steve, that they're going to look to trade down in round 1. I don't think they're going to try to trade out. I still think they want to take a pick in round 1 and take a player in round 1, but they're going to look to move down a couple spots and then recoup a day 2 pick. Now, will they get a round 2 pick? Will they get a round 3 pick? I guess it depends on how desperate the team is to move up. That moves up with them. My guess is they get an additional 3rd-round pick to move down a couple spots. And I'd be okay with that.
Me too.
I'd be okay with an additional 3rd-round pick to move down from like 21 to like 26 or 27. Like, I think that would probably be something that I would be interested in. Obviously, with the Metcalf trade, you send your 2nd-round pick elsewhere, and you still have team needs, and you want to recoup this roster with more young talent. So I think that the Steelers should be looking to trade down come draft night, and I would say that I would even give it maybe even more than a 50% chance that they end up trading down.
Yeah, I would say I would put it close to 50-50. I think they could go either way, but if there's a player like Jahdae Barron or Kenneth Grant there at 21, I would just take him.
Yeah, more than fair. $5 from Phantom here. Says, stop disrespecting Rodgers by comparing him to Russ. Russ is closer to Flacco than Rodgers. Stop hyping Russ because he was carried to a Super Bowl.
I don't think anyone's hyping Russ because he was carried to a Super Bowl 12 years ago.
I mean, I'm literally the one up here. This is how you know I have a fair take on this issue, guys, because I'm getting ripped for saying Rodgers is my preferred option, but I'm also getting ripped for comparing Rodgers to Russ. All right?
Also, we have to compare Rodgers to Russ because Russ was quite literally the starting QB for this team last year.
And you know, like I said, guys, like I don't think the difference is that great. I do think Rodgers is the better option, but like if you're asking me if I think Rodgers is like way better, like worth $10 million more per season, I would answer no. Like, that's my honest opinion. Like I said, I prefer Rodgers over Wilson, but I'm not willing to pay $45 million per season for Rodgers. That's not something that I would be necessarily happy with. So that's where I'm at, man. So $2 GB Travel says Tomlin wanted mobility at quarterback. Who should we draft? So
Milroe.
So obviously, GB, Tomlin definitely did not value mobility as much as experience because he is turning his attention to Aaron Rodgers and only offered Justin Fields $15 million. If he really valued mobility as much as a lot of people claim that he does, and listen, like I don't think Tomlin doesn't value mobility. I think that he appreciates it and he wants it in his quarterback, but it's not a deal breaker. It's not like obviously because they're interested in Aaron Rodgers, a non-mobile quarterback is not a deal breaker for Mike Tomlin. All right, he enjoyed having Justin Fields because of the mobility he brought to the table, but obviously some of the other stuff that he wasn't really good at, the mental processing, the vision, the accuracy, the touch, a lot of the things that Fields struggles in was enough where the Steelers were only willing to give him $15 million per year. And by the way, that's just $1 million more than the Colts gave Daniel Jones, guaranteed next year.
That's another story for another day.
So, the Steelers, I mean, if they believed in Justin Fields, if they truly believed in him, they would have easily matched at least what the Jets were willing to give him.
Just to kind of play devil's advocate, I do wish the Steelers used Justin Fields last year and used a little more of his strengths, like in short down situations, in low red zone situations.
Yeah, I mean,
I do wish they would have used him more.
Yeah, I think that they underutilized Fields' skill set last year. They were the worst, 3rd and 4th and short team in the league last year when Fields could have easily helped them in that regard. They could like Russell Wilson's red zone percentage was lower than Justin Fields was in the game for the Steelers. I think if he would have been used in the red zone more, the Steelers' red zone percentage would have been better throughout the season. So I actually think that Mike Tomlin and Arthur Smith didn't use Justin Fields enough last year. And I said that from the very beginning. It should be Justin Fields in 4-minute drill situations, 3rd and 4th and short situations, and low red zone. They used him in some of those situations, but I don't think they used him in those situations enough. $2 from Antoine Hill says, get Shuck as a bridge and get a franchise quarterback in 2026.
Draft Arch.
Listen, man, if you draft Shuck and you give him a shot this year, you're giving him a legit chance. If he plays well this year, you're not drafting a quarterback in 26
exactly.
if Tyler Shuck has proven himself to be a starting caliber quarterback. So if they draft Shuck and he gets a chance to play this year and he plays well, I think you move forward in 26 with Tyler Shuck, unless you have just an opportunity to draft a quarterback that's way better than him. Obviously we'll cross that bridge when we get to 2026. But if you can get Tyler Shuck on the roster, I think that gives you a pretty decent chance at having a long-term answer, at least a somewhat long-term answer at quarterback once Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson ends up retiring. Dark City with a 2 says GTA 6 will release before the Steelers sign
GTA
Rodgers.
6 allegedly releasing in the fall. Allegedly.
Yeah, remember when they put out that first trailer?
Oh, yeah.
How long? Over a year ago at this point?
I think that was in the fall.
This past fall they
Yeah,
put that out?
6 months ago.
I don't know, dude. It feels longer than that. It feels like at least a year since they put
Regardless,
out that first trailer.
GTA 5 came out in 2013.
Dude, this game...
it's going to be the best game ever.
Dude, I think the PlayStation Store and all this stuff...
It might crash.
It might crash
Yeah,
because there's going to be so many people buying that game immediately.
It definitely might crash.
Immediately. That's a good one, Dark City. Hopefully we get Rodgers before. Highest top dollar is so that when it's announced, they can say he's the highest paid player at this position in NFL history. Right? That's why that's just the way it works. Just like anything. Money is a status symbol. And if you're making a lot of money, people want to know. People want to let people know that they're making a lot of money. So that's probably why, Justin, the players at the top and the star level players, they want the public to know how much money they're making. So that's why it's public info. $5 from Space Dot says if we sign Russ back, is the next step getting more draft capital for this draft or next year's draft? It sounds like you're already going to have quite a bit of draft capital for next year's draft with all the comp picks the Steelers are slated to get next offseason. So I think the plan with Russell Wilson would be a 1-year contract. I think it'd be another 1-year deal with Russ. If they get Rodgers, I actually think it'll be a 2-year deal. With Russ, I think the Steelers don't want to do multiple seasons with Russ. All right? I think that they would want to do 1 season with him and then reevaluate once again next offseason because it sounds like the relationship between Russ and Arthur Smith is not great right now. So I would kind of doubt that they would bring back Russell Wilson on a multiple-year deal. And if it is a multiple-year deal, they're going to be able to get out of it after the first year.
Yep.
They're not going to give him any guaranteed money past the first season is my prediction if they bring back Russell Wilson. But either way, whether you get Russ or whether you get Rodgers, you need to get a younger quarterback option on the team at some point, whether that's the draft, whether that's free agency, whatever. So 129 Swedish dollars here from Rez says, more love from Sweden. Gotta ask, are you at all concerned about Rodgers' personality affecting the Steelers locker room negatively? Also, is it too late to enter the DK jersey raffle with PayPal?
DK jersey raffle it is, but we are doing a new jersey raffle for the next quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
But I tell you what, Rez, if you win, it can be a DK jersey
Fair enough.
raffle. All right, so if you put in a $20 PayPal, it can be a DK jersey if you win. All right, so feel free to send in a $20 PayPal, and we can enter you into the raffle with 2 extra raffle tickets.
I do think this is a good question, though. And I do have concerns about Rodgers' personality.
Yeah, and listen, man, I have said this from the second that we have said that I would be open to a Rodgers union here in Pittsburgh. There's legitimate reasons to be concerned about Rodgers, all right? The people that don't want Rodgers, I get it, man. There's things about this potential pairing that could be explosive in a very negative way. All right, if Rodgers comes in, especially with personalities like DK and GP, and there's bad blood, and they're screaming at each other on the sidelines, and it's not good, and the team is losing, and it's a spiral, and all this different stuff, and Mike Tomlin loses the locker room, obviously it's going to end in a disaster for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that is a legitimate possibility when you bring in Aaron Rodgers to your football team. But here's the positive spin on that. All right, a lot of people in this fan base want Mike Tomlin gone. The team is not going to let Mike Tomlin go unless there is a disaster in this locker room. And if you are somebody that wants Mike Tomlin gone and you think Aaron Rodgers is going to be a disaster, guess what? You might be getting your wish and Mike Tomlin might be getting fired after a bad season this year. Now, I have a more optimistic outlook on it. GP has said himself that Aaron Rodgers is his dream teammate. All right, so I think GP would actually respect what Rodgers says a lot. Same thing with DK Metcalf. I will also say that there are a number of players in the Jets locker room and in that building that love Aaron Rodgers
Absolutely.
and were upset when the team moved on from him.
And they were upset with how he was portrayed by some of the Jets executives like Robert Saleh, like Woody Johnson, who may not have said the nicest things about Rodgers, and it sounds like he was well-liked in New York.
It sounds like he was actually very well-liked, and the reviews out of New York, outside of, say, Garrett Wilson was the one guy that didn't seem to mesh.
Have fun with Justin Fields,
with Garrett Wilson. But, like, the people in New York really, really talk about Rodgers in a positive light. And, you know, if you've watched the Netflix documentary Enigma, you should go watch it if you haven't watched it yet. It's a really good documentary series on Aaron Rodgers recovering from his Achilles injury. He talks about how, you know, we can make fun of it, but his spiritual journey with ayahuasca and darkness retreats and all the stuff that he likes to do, it's weird. I get it. But apparently, since he's been doing that stuff, he has become a much better leader and teammate, and people really tend to love him. And, you know, some of his former teammates, Randall Cobb, Devontae Adams, you know, all these people have a loyalty to Aaron Rodgers because of the friendship and the bond that they have made with Rodgers. So, you know, it's absolutely a factor. Could this thing turn into a complete shit show with Rodgers under center? Yes. But even if that happens, guys, I think it's a positive because the Steelers can move on as an organization then with a new head coach and a new franchise quarterback if that happens. All right, so with Rodgers, I think it's very much boom or bust. It's either going to be better than it was last season, and it could end in a playoff victory, and it could be like Favre in Minnesota, or it could end up being like it was in New York, where it's just a complete shit show, everybody gets fired, and you're starting over with a new head coach. Either way, I think it's a positive outcome for the Steelers.
I agree. I think it is as well, man. I just want a decision to be made.
Yeah, me too. I just want the decision to be made here. So appreciate the love from Sweden. Before we get into the rest of our coverage here of Day 3 of Aaron Rodgers Watch here on Steelers Talk Live, a quick word from our sponsor here at Mando Whole Body Deodorant. Let me ask you guys a question. What do you guys do to prepare for a date night? You guys get a new haircut, clean your car, get your fit together. All that stuff is important, but deodorant is a non-negotiable, fellas. That's where my favorite whole body deodorant comes in with Mando. Mando is safe to use anywhere on your body and is clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. Also, Mando's entire line of products are baking soda free, paraben free, and you can choose from a variety of fresh scents like bourbon leather, Clover Woods, Mount Fuji, or Pro Sport. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code and link. Use code CHAT at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Mando starter pack is perfect for new customers because it comes with a solid stick of deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice as well. You can pick between the mini body wash, deodorant wipes, and others. Plus, you get free shipping. As a special offer for our listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code, which is the code CHAT. And that equates to over 40% off your starter pack when you use code CHAT at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. It's on screen right now. And, of course, the promo code is CHAT to get 40% off that starter pack with $5 off. So please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence with head to toe with Mando Whole Body Deodorant today.
Shout out Phantom with the 10.
Says, I think the Steelers not matching the Jets contract is going to cause them to have to overpay for a quarterback that will end up being more than if we would have just matched the Fields offer. So I think Fields, I think it was the correct move to move off of Fields. And I've been saying it all offseason, right? If he wasn't good enough to start for this team after that 6-game stint last year, and he hasn't started a game since, what makes you think that he's ready to take the mantle now when this team has 2 years to win a Super Bowl with Cam Hayward? I just don't know. If that makes a whole lot of sense. Also, Justin Fields, the reality is, in 4 years in the National Football League, he has never won a game where his defense gave up more than 20 points.
The reality is this. If Justin Fields was a franchise quarterback, he'd still be a Chicago Bear.
Yes. And, you know, the athleticism is great, all right? The athleticism and the ability to run, it's a great tool to have in your tool set. The reality is, if you can't mentally process a defense, if you can't throw the ball accurately, if you can't, make the right decisions with the football, you're just not going to be a good quarterback in this league.
I agree.
Like For years, I've heard this fan base say Lamar Jackson is a running back playing quarterback. That's not the case. Lamar Jackson is actually awesome from within the pocket.
He's a 2-time MVP, probably should be 3-time MVP.
Lamar Jackson is a legit NFL quarterback, and he's a dynamic rusher. Justin Fields is a dynamic rusher who is not a good instruction playmaker from the pocket. He is a running back playing quarterback. That is what Justin Fields has been through the first 4 years of his career. Now, is it possible that he develops? Sure, it's possible. He's got some good arm strength. His highlight tape is awesome, but his game tape is not as awesome because there's a lot of negative plays and a lot of bad football in between the high-level plays that fill up his highlight reel, right? So I think that the Steelers, wanting to be kind of a ball control, run-first offense with a great defense, you need a guy that can effectively manage an NFL football game. Not turn the football over, not fumble the football. Remember, Justin Fields had 6 fumbles in the first 6 games last year. You led the NFL in fumbles last year with the Pittsburgh Steelers as the starter. All right? So there's that. Then Aaron Rodgers doesn't throw interceptions, still has great arm talent, very good mental processor. It's not like the Steelers are bringing in Aaron Rodgers to be the MVP of the league. They're bringing him in to not turn over the ball. He's more than capable of doing that. They're bringing him in to be an effective passer off of play action paired with a good run game. He's more than capable of doing that. They're bringing him in to not take sacks, to completely bury drives. That's something that he can do as well. Aaron Rodgers is a really, really good fit for what the Pittsburgh Steelers want in their starting quarterback right now, whereas Justin Fields, in my opinion, is not, because he fumbles a lot. He does throw a lot of turnover-worthy plays. There's a lot of negatives that come along with Justin Fields that can lose you football games. And if you want to be a Super Bowl champion, Coop, you're going to have to beat a team when your defense gives up more than 20 points.
Absolutely, and Justin Fields has never done that.
Never done it. Not a single game where he has won a game where the defense gave up more than 20 points. That says a lot about the kind of quarterback he's been. $2 from GB Travels says, draft Gabriel, 3rd round, to add mobility, 3rd and short. Gabriel is mobile. He's not that. That kind of threat.
If you want to draft a mobile QB in the mid rounds, just take Milroe.
Yeah, if you want the true kind of like Justin Fields role at quarterback this year, draft Jalen Milroe on round 4, round 5, whenever you can get him. Dylan Gabriel doesn't have a good arm. I don't think he's built to play in the AFC North. I like Gabriel as a player. Good footwork, accurate passer, great touch on his deep ball. I really like Dylan Gabriel, specifically to like a team like Miami or to a team in a dome, but not to a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers, in my opinion. James, $5 says, who would you want teaching a young quarterback, Russ or Aaron? So according to the testimony of Zach Wilson, he was actually a really good mentor.
Interesting.
So honestly, I'm cool with either one because both of them have been very, very experienced starting quarterbacks. They've seen every single coverage in the book. Like, Russell Wilson maybe is the more positive player, but Aaron apparently was a very good mentor to Zach Wilson. So I'll just point that out, that, he has gotten rave reviews from Wilson. And honestly, Jordan Love said that Rodgers was an excellent mentor. So, I think I don't really have any concerns about Rodgers mentoring a young quarterback because remember, Coop, his experience being mentored by Brett Favre was not a positive one.
It was not.
And he is quoted as saying, I don't want to have these quarterbacks go through what I went through.
And I can't remember what his relationship was like with Jordan Love, but I think
No, it was positive.
It was good.
Okay.
Yeah.
They covered it in the documentary.
Interesting. Okay.
And he said, Love did the documentary, and he said, man, Rodgers was great. Aaron was a great mentor.
So
he helped me out in every single way possible. So I don't have any misgivings or any worries about Russ or Aaron mentoring a young quarterback. Javon, $10, says, why not 2 years for Russ? He is younger than 42-year-old Rodgers. Rodgers will get destroyed by AFC North defense. Come on, Sperry. I say Russ and Jackson Dart. So what I'll say, Javon, is that the Steelers and Giants are telling you which quarterback is better because they're both trying to get Rodgers. Now, maybe both of them are wrong, but like I said, guys, even though Rodgers is older, Coop, even though he's older than Russ, I think he's more equipped to play the style that they need to be playing at this point in their careers than Russ is.
Absolutely.
Because they're both players that used to be very reliant on outside of structure playmaking and outside of the pocket type stuff. But unlike Russ, Rodgers actually has the size and the mental processing chops post-snap to get past his first read. Russell Wilson on his first read is great. Super accurate, great touch on his deep ball, decisive. He can throw every single type of throw in the book still. His arm talent is still there. But past that first read, it's a mess. He's not tall enough to see over the middle of the field. He takes a lot of sacks because his athleticism is gone. With Rodgers, I think that he's more equipped to play that quote-unquote Tom Brady style of quarterback where he's staying in the pocket, he's getting rid of the ball quickly, and he's being a game manager. And, I think that Rodgers provides more upside in that type of role than Russ does at this point. It doesn't mean I think Russ would be a complete failure. I think Russ would still probably lead this team to the playoffs if he comes back next year. But I just think Rodgers, even at 41 years old, he'll be 42 in December. So it's still a while. It'll be almost playoff time by the time he's 42. All right, he's 41 years old, but he says he wants to play 2 more seasons. That lines up perfectly with the timeline the Steelers have set for Cam Hayward to retire. I think it makes sense to bring in Rodgers, and then once Cam retires, or if Rodgers stinks this year, you move on.
We've seen QBs in this league play at a high level at 40 years old. It's not something that's never happened.
By the way, Tom Brady playing the style of quarterback that Rodgers would be playing here in Pittsburgh.
Played until he was 45.
He won a Super Bowl when he was 43.
Literally.
He won a Super Bowl when he was 43.
So it's certainly not impossible to play at a high level at Rodgers' age.
Yeah, so it's not impossible, especially if you still have the arm talent. The thing that allowed Brady to play as long as he did was because he was never really reliant on playing outside the pocket. He was always an in-pocket quarterback, so he was never really mobile, but his arm strength never went away. The sign that a quarterback's career is over and done with for good is when their arm strength leaves them.
That's it.
And
Peyton Manning.
Yeah, Peyton Manning, for example. Matt Ryan, Kirk Cousins. Those guys, their arm strength left them, and they were done.
Yep.
That's not the case with Rodgers, and by the way, that's not the case with Russ. They both have very good arm talent still.
Russ was the best deep ball thrower in the league last year.
Yes, the most efficient downfield thrower in the league last year. And if Russ is back, especially with the deep threats that we have on this offense right now, I think he would have success with the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, I think Russ would be a perfectly fine option. $5 from Dom says AR doesn't like the operate under center, and Smith runs a ton of plays like that. It's not a good fit. Would you rather have Russ, to be honest, plus less drama too? So I will also say Russ is not super comfortable under center either. So this is what I'll say. When Rodgers was in Green Bay, and he did a lot more under center stuff in Green Bay with Matt LaFleur, he was an MVP caliber quarterback. All right, when he was in Green Bay, it was a very similar style of offense to what the Steelers want to run. Under center, run heavy, play action. All right, and Rodgers had the best years of his career, arguably, in that type of offense. Now, that doesn't mean, I'm not saying he's going to be MVP Aaron Rodgers here in Pittsburgh, but he can still obviously play that style of offense. So I don't think that is something that gets me off of Aaron Rodgers. I think he is a fit. He's played in this style of offense before. He did it in Green Bay, and he won multiple MVPs and went to multiple conference championships playing in an offense like that. So I don't want to hear that he can't do that. I think he prefers to be in shotgun, but so does Russell Wilson. All right, Russell Wilson has lived in shotgun his entire career as well. So, I think that this goes back to why I think Rodgers and Russ are very similar stylistically.
Absolutely.
Like stylistically, they're both very similar type of quarterbacks. It's just that Rodgers gets the ball out faster and he's better past his first read. That's my opinion. $2 from Smart Kid says, what about sign Russ and draft Milroe to mentor? I'm fine with that.
Cool.
Like, listen, man, just because I want Rodgers slightly over Russ for the same amount of money doesn't mean that I think Russ would be bad. I think Russ makes sense here in Pittsburgh. And, especially with DK Metcalf in town, George Pickens, obviously he had a connection with Russ last year. Having those two guys on the outside, Russell Wilson will play better next year if he is back with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think he has an even better season than what he had last year if he's back with the Steelers. And if you bring in Milroe, he can play the Justin Fields role, where he can come in and package of plays and he can run the football.
I wish they would have done that with Fields last year.
Yeah, I wish they would have done that more with Fields last year. So I would be perfectly fine with a Russ Milroe quarterback room. Javon, $5 says, given this offensive line, do you really think a pocket QB would survive?
It's honestly fair. I think the offensive line's a huge question mark.
It is a huge question mark, but here's my thing, Javon. We've covered it extensively on the show already, but I'll repeat the point. If you're worried about the offensive line not holding up, I think Aaron Rodgers is actually the best option. Now, that might shock a lot of you because I'm sure a lot of you guys think, but Jack, don't you want a guy that can get outside the pocket? Do you want somebody that has better mobility than Aaron Rodgers? And it's like, ideally, you want somebody that can get outside the pocket and have mobility. That's a nice thing to have. But if you're asking me to choose between mobility and getting the ball out fast, it's not even close. I'm picking the guy that gets the ball out fast. Okay? Because at this point, Aaron Rodgers, or I should say Russell Wilson, he doesn't really escape the pocket all that well anymore. His athleticism isn't what it used to be. It's better than Rodgers is. But, can we take a look at the sack percentages again from last year,
Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, we can take a look at the average time to throws, and then we can look at the sack percentages between Aaron Rodgers and then both of the Steelers quarterbacks last year. Aaron Rodgers was 6th in average time to throw, 2.69 seconds. All right, so that's pretty darn good. Justin Fields was 40th at 3.04. Russell Wilson's was at 2.82, which ranked 28th. All right, so bottom tier of the league, top tier in the league. How does that affect sack percentage? Aaron Rodgers got sacked 2 percentage points less than Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. If Justin Fields, he's mobile, he can get outside the pocket, he's got the mobility, why did he take more sacks then? It's not like it's because Aaron Rodgers got the ball out faster. It's because Aaron Rodgers was 6th in average time to throw and Justin Fields was 40th. Think about it, guys. If you get the ball out in 2 seconds, then the offensive line only needs to block for 2 seconds. But if you're like Justin Fields and you consistently hold the ball for 5 or more seconds, then that means the offensive line has to hold up for longer, which gives the pass rushers more opportunities to win. And honestly, getting away from pressure to sack ratio, that's important. That's why Fields, his sack rate was lower than Russ's last year. But I would say the biggest determining factor as to how much you get sacked is how fast you get rid of the football on average. And Aaron Rodgers, out of the available options right now, he gets the ball out faster. And last year, more than a 2-point percentage difference between him and Russell Wilson in terms of the sacks that they took. And Coop, what do sacks do? They kill drives. They put
killers.
They put you in 3rd and long situations. They put you in situations that kill your drives and stop your momentum. All right, you got to stay on schedule. That's the part of a job of a game manager. That's what the Steelers are trying to get with their team, which is why I think Rodgers is the preferred option right now. $5 from Luis D. Says, you being a fan, Tomlin will not get fired by Mr. Rooney. That's not how he operates. If that was the case, Cowher would have been fired his losing season.
I do disagree. I agree with the sentiment that Rooney does not operate like a normal franchise does. This franchise has had 3 head coaches in its history.
Yeah,
However, I feel like this is the hot seat year for Tomlin.
Yeah, because right now, Rooney has made it very clear that he is frustrated with the lack of playoff success, but the team is still winning double-digit wins this season, and they're making the playoffs. All right? Like Rooney, somebody from, is very proud of the fact that he's never fired a head coach. He's not going to fire a coach after a double-digit win season and a playoff berth, especially when most people last year were predicting the Steelers to be last place in the division. All right, so they overperformed expectations last year, actually. So he wasn't going to fire Tomlin last year, but with Aaron Rodgers, the expectations get raised. All right,
yes.
The expectations go from at least being where you were last year. All right, at least making the playoffs and at least making it to the first round. If they don't do that, then they disappoint expectations. And I think if that happens after 19 seasons here in Pittsburgh, after almost a decade at this point with no playoff wins, if he has his first losing season,
I think he's gone.
And by the way, if Tomlin loses the locker room, he still has control of the locker room as it stands here today, I guarantee you every single player that talked with Art Rooney in the exit interviews told him, yes, Mike Tomlin still has full control of this locker room. We respect him. We want him back. If Aaron Rodgers comes in and fucks all that up, There's no way Art Rooney is bringing him back.
No way. I
So-
agree with you there.
So, Luis, I see where you're coming from because of the history of this organization. But if Rodgers comes in and is a disaster, I guarantee you they will fire Mike Tomlin. They will.
Let's check on your Venmo, see if you have an update there.
We do have a PayPal here.
Cool.
Actually, we have multiple. Do we? Yeah, I think we have multiple. Okay, we got about 4 that we have to get to.
Sounds good. In case you're wondering, the NFL is moving at a snail's pace, and nothing has happened. So you have not missed anything.
Yeah, what's the biggest signing today, Mr. Van Jefferson?
The biggest signing today, I guess Bosa was yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Biggest signing today is, Damar Hamlin.
Damar Hamlin.
Like, there are no signings, baby.
There I go.
Preach.
We are lined up. The Chargers have signed Jalen Reagor.
How about that?
There we go.
He stinks.
So a little bit of AFC North news here. Michael Pierce, the stud nose tackle for Baltimore, retiring. So they're in need of a new nose tackle as well. Yeah, and there doesn't appear to be any big nose.
Do you think Dalvin Tomlinson could go to Baltimore?
He could. It's definitely a possibility. So we will get to some Venmos here, some questions that have come in. And make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We're going to be here all throughout Aaron Rodgers' watch. We'll be live all throughout the McAfee show, and if Rodgers shows up to make an announcement, we'll react to it live here on the show. But once McAfee is over at 3 p.m. Eastern today, we will sign off, and we'll come back live if Aaron Rodgers or if any other quarterback is signed today. First, I believe this is a PayPal, maybe? This one was a Cashapp from Jeremiah Taylor. He says, tank for Arch Manning. First of all, Mike Tomlin will not tank.
He won't.
He is like the most anti-tank head coach in the history of football. All right, so even if they don't get Russ or Rodgers, they're still going to get like Gardner Minshew and then try to convince us that they're going to win a Super Bowl. Like, that's what they'll do. And also, there's no guarantee Arch even comes out next year.
Correct.
With all the money that he's making from NIL, like, if he doesn't have like a stellar season next year, like, he could absolutely come back.
He's got a Red Bull deal. He's got an EA Sports deal. He's got a BMW deal. Like, this guy's making like $7 million next year.
So, Arch Manning would be sick, especially if the Steelers have the number 1 pick next year, and they're taking Arch Manning, number 1 in Pittsburgh. That would be electric. But right now, my focus is on 2025. We've got Drew Mazar, hope I'm saying that right, my friend, says, do you think Jackson Dart can develop into a franchise quarterback? Also, do we have any news on Nick Chubb coming to us?
No news on Nick Chubb.
No news on Nick Chubb, but here's what I'll say. I think after the Kenneth Gainwell signing yesterday, I think the Steelers are not going to make another signing at running back.
I agree.
I think if they sign another running back, it's going to be another depth piece because I think they want to draft a day 1 starter at running back. All right, so I think they want their rookie to be there right away. And, whether it's Caleb Johnson, whether it's Ashton Genty, whether it's Omarion Hampton, whether it's Quinshon Judkins, whether it's somebody else, I think they want that rookie to be a part of the starting rotation. So I actually don't think Nick Chubb is going to get signed here. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe they do bring in Mr. Chubb on a super team-friendly deal. But I'm not sure if that's going to happen. For your first part of the question, do I think Jackson Dart can develop into a franchise quarterback? I think it's possible. I think he has an NFL arm. I think that he shows some good things on film, but it's a very college-y offense, lots of one read to run stuff, and he's going to have to develop an NFL mental processor. He also played some of his worst football against the toughest competition and in the biggest of moments in the fourth quarter. All right, you want somebody that plays their best when the game is on the line. Jackson Dart threw some really bad interceptions with the game on the line, especially this past season. So I have a 3rd-round grade on Jackson Dart. I compare his skill set to Jalen Hurts coming out. But, the thing about Hurts is that he had a lot of stuff to clean up coming into the league. And it took him about 3-4 years before he developed into a legitimate franchise quarterback. He had multiple seasons of really bad pocket presence. It still isn't the best pocket presence in the world. He's not the best mental processor still today. He's gotten to a point where he's very good on his first read. He's extremely accurate. He's a great downfield passer. And he's surrounded by an elite surrounding cast. And because of that, he was able to win a Super Bowl. So good for Jalen Hurts. But, Jackson Dart has a long ways to go before he gets there. Now, the Steelers, with the situation that they have, bringing in a veteran like Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson, they potentially have some time to let Jackson Dart cook, all right, and to learn behind that veteran quarterback. So, if you pair Dart with Aaron Rodgers, and, apparently Rodgers has been a very good mentor to some of these younger quarterbacks, could he develop and learn from Rodgers a little bit? Sure. But, I would say I would only be comfortable taking Dart in round 3. If they take him any round earlier than that, I think it would be a little bit of a reach. All right. I don't get the 1st-round hype on Jackson Dart. I really don't. I have Tyler Shuck out of Louisville as a higher grade right now. Shuck is much older than Dart is, so that's kind of the balancing factor there. But right now, Tyler Shuck, in my opinion, is clearly the better prospect compared to Jackson Dart. All right, Jason Ballack coming in with a 20. He's in on the raffle. He says, do you think they are stocking comp picks next year as ammo to move up for a quarterback? I think, Jason, it certainly doesn't hurt, right? Like, I think next year the Steelers are acknowledging the reality that they could be taking a quarterback next year, and they want to be prepared for that if that's the case. If Aaron Rodgers retires after one season, if Russell Wilson retires after one season. If it doesn't work out with Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson after this year, they're going to be in a position where they are probably going to want to take a quarterback in round 1 and pretty early. So it's definitely part of the equation here that they let go of Najee Harris, that they're letting go of James Daniels, that they're letting go of Dan Moore Jr. because they know they're going to get comp picks for those players and letting those players go. So absolutely, they are probably open to that possibility. And that's why they're letting a lot of these players hit free agency. Final one here from Claudio Jerez. Says, hello, Jack. Hello, Claudio. Thank you so much for the $20.06 Venmo. Or was it PayPal? It was, PayPal from Claudio. I think this is our Swedish friend right here.
No.
Is it not?
No.
Because I don't have any, because he said PayPal, and this is the only PayPal I have on the day.
Maybe it is.
So maybe it is. So Claudio, appreciate you. $20. You are in on the raffle today. Of course, we are on Aaron Rodgers' watch. Pat McAfee says he doesn't have any inside information, that his retweet from earlier was just pretty much him saying, just reiterating that he likes Pittsburgh.
He knew what he was doing there. Pat McAfee knew damn well that when he retweeted that, everyone was going to freak out and think that he had inside info.
Exactly. $5 from Steelers Productions. What's up, my man? Says, I'm praying we don't get Aaron. I'm praying for Kyler. Not going to happen.
If we got Kyler Murray, I think I would delete this channel. He stinks!
He doesn't stink.
He stinks!
He does not stink. He would actually be an awesome fit for this offense because he's got a great deep ball. But
he's this big.
He is tiny. If you're worried about a culture fit, I don't know if Kyler is exactly the Tomlin culture type of guy.
He's going to get carpal tunnel from playing COD.
And listen, man, I don't think, why would Arizona get rid of him? Name me the better option for Arizona heading into next year if they let him go. Jonathan Gannon's coaching for his job next year. There is zero, unless Kyler says, I want out, there's no reason for Kyler Murray. Jacoby Brissett, they did not sign Jacoby Brissett to get rid of Kyler Murray.
Exactly.
Jacoby Brissett is a high-end backup, all right? He is not a guy you replace Kyler Murray for. So you can keep praying all you want, Steelers Productions, for Kyler. I'm just going to tell you right now, it's probably not going to happen, man. Sorry. $10 from Steven.
Quinn Ewers taking an official top 30 visit to the Dallas Cowboys.
I believe that knowing where the QBs will be. may help the offensive Mason Rudolph would be as good as Justin or Russ in the offense. We only need a game manager until we draft a legit first-round QB. The problem is,
who knows when you're going to draft one?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if Rudy wants to come back. And if you miss out on Rodgers specifically, I wouldn't mind bringing in Rudolph. I think Rodgers and Russ are both better than Rudy at this point. I understand that, Rudy has a big contingent of Steelers fans that love him, and I'm a part of that, all right? Rudy is an all-time Steelers legend in my mind for what he did at the end of the 2023
We have a song
season.
for him.
We have a song for him. Rudolph, the third-string QB. All right? Love Rudy. But he felt betrayed by this team last year because this team said, and they leaked all the reports last year saying, and they even said at the Combine, we have video of Omar Khan saying, Mason Rudolph knows we want him back.
That is on camera.
That is on camera. And they pulled the rug out from under him and signed Russell Wilson instead.
They screwed him over. And first of all, even in training camp before the 23 season, Rudolph played the best out of those 3 QBs.
Yeah. And, if I'm being completely honest with you, if you miss out on Rodgers and Russ, I would be okay. If they brought in Rudolph to be the team starter next year, I'd actually be open to it.
I would. I don't know if he would.
Out of all the other options outside of Rodgers and Russ, Rudy is the guy that I think would probably play the best. But,
honestly,
would he even want to come back? I really don't think so. And especially if the reports are true that the Steelers want him back as a backup, I really don't think he wants to come back as a backup. I think if he comes back here, he wants to be guaranteed the starting job for 2025. I don't think the Steelers will do that.
I don't either.
Smooty Booty 20 says Kyler is trash. So, Coop, you're in agreement with Smooty Booty here.
Trace Gerard, who's our Saints host here at Chat Sports, picked off Kyler Murray in middle school.
Pick six.
Pick six.
He'll
let you know about it if you ask.
A Chat Sports host has a pick six on Kyler Murray. That's actually...
Kyler stinks.
It's actually crazy. All right, here we go. So Mark Caboli just reported...
What did Caboli say?
That the recent moves, quote-unquote, feel like the Steelers are inching towards a first-round running back.
Yeah, I would agree.
So Ashton Jeanty and Omarion Hampton are the only 2 guys that I could see going in round 1.
You think those are the only 2?
Yeah, I like Quinshon Judkins a lot. I don't know if he's round 1. I think he's more round 2. So if the Steelers take a running back, it better be either Ashton Jeanty or Omarion Hampton if it's in round 1. Because those are the 2 top guys, in my opinion. If they take Quinshon Judkins in round 2, if they get a second-round pick back, I'm perfectly cool with that. But round 1, especially at number 21, would be too rich for me. So keep that in mind here that the Steelers could be eyeing first-round quarterback. So Cassie says that Claudio is the Sweden guy. Gotcha.
Oh, cool. Here's what the Steelers have done so far in free agency, if you've missed it. Big move, traded for DK Metcalf.
Biggest move so far, obviously, is DK Metcalf. Still waiting on the quarterback to throw to him. But I love the move to get Metcalf, pair him up with George Pickens. Still remains to be seen if Pickens is going to get traded or not, but I would honestly love to see Metcalf and Pickens on the same team for a season. You trade a second-round pick to go get him, so not cheap, especially because you gave him a 4-year extension, so now he's under contract for the next 5 years at $150 million total, which makes him the 5th highest paid receiver in all of football. Jaylen Warren will be back next year, 1 year, $5.346 million. Darius Slay is expected to agree to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers officially today when he is released at the new league year. It's going to be a post-June 1st cut for the Eagles. Malik Harrison, 2-year deal, $10 million over 2 seasons. And then last night, Kenneth Gainwell signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers on a 1-year
These are all your
deal.
moves.
So those are all your moves. But more Steelers players from last year have actually signed with other teams than the Steelers have signed. So Najee Harris goes to the Chargers. Landon Roberts has gone to the Raiders. Larry Ogunjobi recently signed with the Bills. Van Jefferson this morning signed with the Tennessee Titans. Dan Moore Jr. is also on his way to the Titans.
Big deal.
Have fun with those 2, Tennessee. That's all I'm going to say. Justin Fields signed with the New York Jets relatively early in NFL free agency on Monday. And then Dante Jackson also on his way to the Chargers. So he'll be reunited with Naj next year. And then James Daniels off of his Achilles tear is going to play in Miami. I think that's an awesome fit for him. So let us know down there in the comment section, guys. Will Aaron Rodgers sign with Pittsburgh today?
I don't know if it's going to be today.
I don't know either, man. Like, it kind of sounds like Rodgers wants to take his time to make a decision. Whatever his process is of making a decision, going into the darkness, whatever.
Do you think he's in a darkness retreat right now?
Honestly,
Maybe on some hallucinogenics?
honestly, I can see yes. Yes.
Mariota back to Washington.
Oh, well, that's big news. So I actually thought Marcus Mariota had a chance to get a chance to compete for a starting job or be a bridge quarterback. He played really well with the Commanders. So that's another potential quarterback target off the board for the Steelers.
1 year, $8 million deal.
Yeah, good for him. Good for the Commanders.
Absolutely.
If you're the Commanders, there isn't a more ideal backup quarterback than Marcus Mariota. Played so well for them in relief of Jaden Daniels when he got injured last year. If Jaden Daniels, God forbid, gets hurt, Marcus Mariota could legitimately be a starting caliber quarterback for them.
I know you were
he
saying
played that good.
You were saying that you thought he might get some looks as a starter.
Yeah, and there were some people I saw that were connecting him to the Steelers if they can't land Rodgers. I don't think that ever made sense because Mariota has burned bridges with Arthur Smith. Because remember, when he was playing for Smith back in Atlanta, Smith decided to go with Desmond Ridder, and then Mariota left the team.
Yes, he did.
So there's no way those guys are on good terms. So Mariota was never a realistic option for the Steelers. He ends up back in Washington. Good for him. Let's talk a little bit here about some players that I would like to see the Steelers still sign that are available to sign in free agency at this point. Personally, my preference is Aaron Rodgers, but like I said, I'd be cool with Russell Wilson as well. Mike Hilton, slot cornerback extraordinaire, former Steeler, played his best football of his career here in this defense. So I would hope that he would want to come back to Pittsburgh, and I think he could complete this cornerback room with Darius Slay expected to join Joey Porter Jr. Dalvin Tomlinson, a really good run stuffer. He's getting released as a post-June 1st designation by the Cleveland Browns today. I think if you bring in Tomlinson, that gives you a day one starting nose tackle, and you can move Keanu Benton to the 3 technique. Trent Brown was a big free agency target of mine last year for the Steelers. He ended up going to the Cincinnati Bengals. I think he'd be the perfect swing tackle if he's willing to take on a swing tackle role. Isaiah Simmons can be a defensive chess piece. He can play as a safety. He can play as a hybrid linebacker in your nickel and dime sets. He can go in the slot and cover slot wide receivers at times. He's an eraser in man coverage against tight ends. Simmons is just a versatile chess piece on defense I'd love to see in this team. Armin Watts, if you're looking for a rotational pass rusher, Armin was awesome in this defense 2 seasons ago. Had an over 90 PFF grade for the season. So I would love Armin to be back on a team-friendly deal. Alan Lazard, if you get Rodgers, I would like Alan Lazard on a team-friendly deal. He's also slated to get cut by the Jets later today. And then Kyle Juszczyk, if Arthur Smith wants to really dive into the 2 running back formation type of world, he experimented and dipped his toe in the water last year with Connor Hayward. I will say pretty unsuccessfully with Connor Hayward last year. If you want to dip your toe into that world, Juszczyk is the best fullback on the planet, and he's available right now.
And Cooper Kupp, by the way, officially released by the Rams.
Yes, he is. Cooper Kupp officially released by the Los Angeles Rams. He is expected to sign. He could sign as early as today.
Yep.
So if the Steelers are going to get him, today would be the day. I will say the team that I've been hearing his name connected to the most in recent days is the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Interesting. Do you like that?
I do, because they just got rid of Christian Kirk. They need to replace their slot receiver role, and they need somebody to kind of be just a safety blanket for Trevor Lawrence. Because you got the deep threat in Brian Thomas Jr. You're getting rid of Evan Ingram. You need somebody that can get open over the middle of the field. I think Cooper Kupp makes a lot of sense for Jacksonville.
How do the Rams replace Kupp, though?
They already did. Devontae.
Oh, Devontae, yeah, that's
Devontae
fair.
and
I forgot
Puka,
about that.
Devontae and Puka, and then they signed Tutu Atwell to another contract as well. I think they'll draft somebody in the middle rounds as well. But it's very clear that they're pairing up Devontae and Puka to be their number 1 and number 2. Hip Hop Anonymous says Trader Joey is way better than Aaron Rodgers as QB1.
We love Trader Joey.
Hip Hop Anonymous, I love you, man. But I think you better get ready for your
Are you
nightmare
picking
scenario.
Aaron Rodgers or Trader Joey?
Aaron Rodgers.
I'm going with my guy Trader Joey.
Trader Joey sucks. He sucks. $5. Jake Knudsen. Or Knudsen? I don't know.
Knudsen.
I think Kenneth Grant is going to be a round 1 pick. Do you think we can move back, pick up another 3rd, and still get him? I don't know, man. Like, if for teams that are looking for nose tackles, Kenneth Grant is the best nose tackle in the draft. And I think it's not close. Now, there's some good defensive tackle prospects that you can get later in the draft on day 2 and even on early day 3. But it's a deep defensive tackle class. But if you want the best and you want to maximize the defensive line, Kenneth Grant would be the rookie that, in my opinion, can start day 1 and would be an impact on day 1. So can they trade down and still get him? I'm not even sure if he's going to be available at 21, if I'm being completely honest with you, Jay.
I think if he's there at 21, take him.
Yeah, I mean, it depends what they do in free agency and how many needs they still have to fill. But, right now, I would say more than likely they trade down. And I don't know if Kenneth Grant's going to be there by the time that they trade down and then they get to their pick. So I think the answer to your question right now, Jay, is I would guess no. But you never know how the NFL draft is going to shape up. That's what I'll say.
This is pretty crazy. DeAndre Hopkins posted a picture 5 years ago of him, Henry, and Jackson. And now they're all together.
Yeah.
They're on 3 different teams at that time.
And they're all cooked. I saw a picture yesterday on Steelers Twitter where they had Lamar Jackson with like his 8 jersey, but he had the face of James Harden. And I'm like, that is such a, like, he is the James Harden of the NFL.
He is.
Where he's like, he's got incredible stats. He's like MVP candidate every year. And then he loses in the playoffs every year.
That's what he does.
It's what he does. He's
That's
never been to a
funny.
Super Bowl. He's been to, I think, 1 AFC championship game and lost to Kansas City. And that is what he has done. So Cooper Kupp, let's talk about that possibility here, Coop.
Yeah.
The team was interested in trading for him last year, but they just traded for DK Metcalf, and they're paying him a lot of money. So how does that affect their interest in Cooper Kupp? I think, right now, the Steelers like their number 3 receiver in Calvin Austin III.
Agreed.
I think Calvin gets ignored a lot in these conversations, and he just gets kind of brushed away as a bad receiver. But, he's got certain things about his game that are really, really good. Like, he's a great route runner. He made some really tough catches down the stretch for this team last year. He's a better, contested catcher than people give him credit for. He's a deep threat with his vertical speed. He gives you special teams reliability as well as a punt return man, and he's great after the catch with great vision and instincts.
This just came in from Peter Schrager. He said, I know of 3 teams that are interested in Kupp. The question is, what will it cost to sign him and what he's looking for money-wise? He certainly will be motivated, has good football left in the tank.
Yeah, and he's a consummate professional, so if you're looking for somebody to help George Pickens become more of a professional receiver, I think adding a guy like Cooper Kupp, who he will respect, is somebody that makes sense. DK Metcalf isn't exactly the type of guy where George Pickens is going to look to be like a professional mentor necessarily.
If you're getting Cooper Kupp, I want to keep Pickens.
Nobody can hear you, but
I know.
yeah, Coop just said if you're getting Cooper Kupp, I want to keep Pickens. Like I agree with Coop. I don't want to trade George Pickens because what are the chances that you get a receiver to replace him in this rotation that's better? I just don't see it. And for a team that's trying to maximize right now, unless you're getting like a round 2, round 3 pick for George Pickens, I don't know if you trade him. And I don't think George is getting the day 2 pick because of all the off-field antics, the punctuality issues, the fighting, the effort issues, all that, along with the fact that his new team would have to give him a new contract because they're giving up high draft capital for him. So I just don't know if any team is going to take the cheese on George Pickens for a day 2 draft pick. If New England comes calling and says, we'll give you our 3rd-round draft pick for him, I'll accept it. But I don't know, man. I don't know.
I agree, man. And I wonder what those 3 teams are. Peter Schrager mentioned that who would be interested in them.
And the other aspect of it is how expensive is Cooper Kupp? Because like if the Steelers can get him for a team-friendly deal, I'm by all means go get him.
Yeah, I wonder what he's making.
By all means, let's go get Cooper Kupp. But I think people are underestimating how much the Steelers believe in both Calvin Austin III and Roman Wilson. Now, maybe they don't believe in Roman Wilson at all, and maybe they want to add somebody to make Roman the wide receiver 5 heading into next year. Wide receiver depth is a good thing. I have Alan Lazard on my list of receivers that I would bring in, specifically if Rodgers is brought in as the quarterback. But, am I going to cry if this team signs Cooper Kupp today? No,
Certainly not.
He's a good player,
thrilled.
Excellent run blocker. I will say, though, if they sign Cooper Kupp today, the chances of a GP trade do go up.
Oh, for sure they go up.
I will say, if they sign Cooper Kupp today, the chances, it's not 100%, but I do think a GP trade possibility goes up if they sign Cooper Kupp today. But my prediction, I think he signs with the Jacksonville Jaguars today. That's my prediction. $2 from Ethan. It is a Venmo. And he says, I know Jameis throws a ton of picks, but he also throws touchdowns. Isn't interceptions not as big of a deal with the great defense the Steelers have? Actually, it's the opposite, Ethan, where the way Mike Tomlin wants to win games is he wants to take the football away on defense and not give up the ball on offense, all right? You can say whatever you want about Russell Wilson and Kenny Pickett. The reason why they were winning quarterbacks with the Steelers is because they didn't put the ball in danger.
Absolutely.
All right?
Absolutely.
If anything, they were too conservative, but that is coming directly from the directive of the head coach to not be too dangerous with the football. All right? So, no. The answer to the question is no. Mike Tomlin wants his quarterback to be really conservative with it, not turn the football over, play smart, and Jameis Winston is the antithesis of that. Throws a ton of pick sixes. In fact, he famously said the Lord will not deliver him from these pick sixes. So
and he did not.
And by the way, I think the Steelers' record when they don't turn the football over or when they win the turnover battle is almost 100%.
It is. It's very close.
So that's why Tomlin wants somebody that really protects the football. So if you're hoping for Jameis as the starting quarterback, I would say don't hold your breath on that. Just because I don't think Tomlin likes the fact that he is the most intercepted quarterback in football since he entered the National Football League. Just got a super chat here, $5 from Jay Livington. By the way, we are into the final hour of the Pat McAfee show now. Rodgers has not appeared on the show. McAfee said himself that Rodgers is not slated to be on the show today.
And it doesn't appear he will be.
And unless he shows up, last minute surprise visit to announce he's on the Steelers or Giants, it appears it's not going to happen today, guys. So we'll see what happens. I will say, though, even if it's announced Rodgers is going to the Steelers, I expect the next day he's on McAfee.
Oh, yeah, either way.
The next day he'll be on McAfee to kind of explain his thinking, why he chose the Steelers or the Giants, etc. $5 from Jay Livingston. Says, where is A-Rod going? If I had to guess right now, I would say Steelers, but at this point, it's anyone's guess. I will say Pat McAfee and that crew kind of seems like they're really, really interested in Rodgers going to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they're Pittsburgh guys.
We know for a fact Tomlin loves the city of Pittsburgh. Apparently he's a big fan of Pittsburgh Dad.
The YouTube guy?
Yeah, and of course he's close with the Pittsburgh guys there on McAfee. So, and of course he's a big fan of Mike Tomlin. So the fact that the Steelers are more ready to win now than the Giants are, the fact that he has a connection with Mike Tomlin that he hasn't had a prior connection with Brian Daboll, the fact that he likes the city of Pittsburgh and probably would love to live here for a short period of time to be the Steelers' starting quarterback. I think he sees himself as a blue-collar guy, even though I think a lot of blue-collar workers would probably laugh at that. I think that he wants to play here. That's my prediction. I think he wants to play here, but the reason why he hasn't signed is because the Giants are offering him more money, And right now, Rodgers is trying to get the Steelers to match the Giants' offer before he officially signs. That's my best guess right now. So let me know what you guys think down there in the comments. Should we make this a poll?
Yeah, I'm doing it right now.
All right. We're going to start a live poll right now, guys. Where will Aaron Rodgers play in 2025? Will he play for the Steelers or will he play for the Giants? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. I will remind you guys as you're voting that we have a $20 jersey raffle coming up in the near future. Whenever the Steelers sign their quarterback, we are going to be giving away a jersey for that quarterback. All right. So if it's Aaron Rodgers, we'll be giving away an Aaron Rodgers jersey. If it's Russell Wilson, we'll be giving away a Russell Wilson jersey. If it's Mason Rudolph, we'll be giving away the Mason Rudolph jersey. All right. So $20 to get in on that. Double your raffle tickets if it's Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal. All right. The reason for that is we get to keep more of the proceeds with Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal. So if you're going to be helping us out, we're going to help you guys out by giving you guys an extra chance to win the jersey. How crazy is that, Coop, that YouTube takes a 30% cut of the super chats that the people send in?
It is wild.
It's wild.
We love YouTube. We would just like a little more of our money.
And then also, Apple takes another 10%. So we only get 60% of the money that you guys send in via super chats, by the way. So we would greatly appreciate if you guys sent in Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal. And hey, if you put in 20, you get extra raffle tickets. Come on now. Like, the starting quarterback market has 2 guys left.
There's 2 guys left.
There's 2 guys left. I mean, I just want to know. You know who else wants to know? Drake Johnson says if they could trade for Murray, what would it take?
Multiple firsts.
Not multiple. I'd say it'd take one first.
A new
round
contract.
first. How many years does he have on his deal? I think they just gave him a new deal.
They did just give him a new deal. That's true.
Like, listen, man. Like, I get people don't like the Rodgers and Russ solutions, and they want a younger quarterback. You gotta suck it up, man. Like, I think you're grasping at straws here because right now Kyler Murray is under contract till 2027. And right now the Cardinals have a lot of guarantees locked up into him. It just doesn't make sense. And it's like for the Cardinals, who are they bringing in at quarterback if they get rid of Kyler Murray? It's like Jonathan Gannon is coaching for his job this year. That team has been bad for 2 straight seasons. They had a late season collapse last year. Like, he cannot afford to have another bad season.
He's got to win.
Another bad season, and he's out. All right? And there are zero better options at quarterback than Kyler Murray on the market. Why in the fuck would he trade Kyler Murray?
He won't.
He won't. So, like, if you're hoping and you're praying that it's going to be Kyler Murray in Pittsburgh, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, guys. It's not going to be Kyler Murray. You have to wrap your head around either Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. It's going to be one of those 2. And if it's not one of those 2, there's a slight outside chance Mason Rudolph comes in to start for a season. That's it. No Kyler. No Justin Herbert. We got a question on him yesterday. Not Justin Herbert. Not Trevor Lawrence. Not Kyler Murray. It's Aaron Rodgers or it's Russell Wilson.
It's one of the 2.
It's one of those 2. And if it's not one of those 2, it'll probably be Mason Rudolph.
I think you got a Venmo.
I did. All right. One of our favorite sons.
Oh.
Or maybe we're his sons.
Yeah, I very more appropriate there.
Ooh, another one. $20 Venmo from Steelers Dad. Appreciate you. As always, appreciate your dedication to providing awesome Steelers coverage. Steelers Dad, we appreciate you, man. You always tune in. You're always been one of the longest supporters of our show, Steelers Dad, so appreciate you.
We always appreciate you, Steelers Dad.
You are in on the raffle today.
Well, we may not be doing the raffle today.
Yeah, so...
But you are in on the raffle.
Yes, just so everybody is aware, The raffle will be when the Steelers sign their starting quarterback. So if they don't sign their starting quarterback today, no raffle today, but your tickets will be on the raffle. They will transfer to whenever they sign. So if you enter the raffle today, you are in on the raffle, just so everybody is aware. Matthew Francis coming in with a $0.90 raffle ticket. Says a raffle to win a jersey. Well, you need to put in $20, Matthew.
$20.
So you need to put in around $19 more to enter the raffle here, Matthew. I appreciate you, though. I appreciate you. And I would say, more than likely, unless we have another position sign, we'll probably be wrapping it up here in about 40 minutes. So if you got questions, we're still taking questions for at least another 40 minutes or so.
Throw them in there.
Got a couple of Venmo alerts to get to here. That would be boom. Drew Mazar comes in, and he says, per sources, Giants are out of contention. It is now up to the Vikings to match our offer. I don't know what sources you got, Drew. But my understanding is the Vikings aren't even in it right now. Now, maybe that's the reason why Rodgers hasn't decided officially Steelers, because maybe the Vikings haven't told Rodgers they're out on him. Because if you think about it, if Rodgers was promised a year in Minnesota, like that arguably is a better situation than Pittsburgh. Because you got JJ, you've got Jordan Addison, and you've got Kevin O'Connell, who, by the way, Rodgers is pretty close with as your offensive play caller. But it sounds like Minnesota is ready to go with J.J. McCarthy as their starter next year. So, with it taking this long, I can't say Minnesota's out of the running, but I don't know, man. I kind of don't think Minnesota wants Rodgers because I think they want to just go with J.J. McCarthy, but I could be wrong. We'll see how it all plays out. All right, before we get into some more questions here and we break down more surrounding the Aaron Rodgers saga here on Steelers Talk, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Mando Whole Body Deodorant. Let me ask you guys a question here. What do you guys have to do in order to get ready for a first date? You could get a new haircut. You can clean your car. You get your fit together. All that stuff is important, guys, but deodorant is an absolute non-negotiable. You have to be smelling fresh. That's where my favorite whole body deodorant in Mando comes in. Mando is safe to use anywhere on your body and is clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. Also, Mando's entire line of products are baking soda free, paraben free, and you can choose from a variety of fresh scents like Clover Woods, Mount Fuji, Pro Sport, or my personal favorite, Bourbon Leather. New customers get $5 off a starter pack when you use our exclusive code and link. Use code CHAT at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com and use promo code CHAT to get $5 off a starter pack. That's 40% off a starter pack. So what are you guys waiting for? Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers because it comes with a solid stick of deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash or deodorant wipes. Plus, guys, you get free shipping. So 40% off your starter pack plus free shipping. No reason not to give Mando a try today. I guarantee you guys, once you try Mando, you are not going to want to go back. As a special offer for our listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. And that code equates to over 40% off your starter pack when you use code CHAT at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando Whole Body Deodorant today. Robert Nixon, $20 PayPal. He says, how is Cordero Patterson still on this team?
That's a great question.
He must have dirt on Arthur Smith or something. Robert, I would say be patient.
Wait till 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. Eastern.
I think he's going to get cut. All right? I think that he's going to get cut.
I don't disagree with you, Robert.
And I don't disagree either. I think that he needs to go. Saves you $2.8 million. It pretty much would offset the Kenneth Gainwell contract, what you're going to be paying him. So I agree with you, Robert. You're in the raffle, by the way. $2. GB Travels is hypothetical. Steelers OC Chip Kelly or Arthur Smith. Then who? If I had to choose right now.
Chip Kelly.
I'm not the biggest Chip Kelly fan. I know he just won a national championship with
I
Ohio
think he's
State,
a great offensive mind.
but probably pick Chip Kelly.
Although Chip Kelly's making $6 million a year. So if I had to pay Chip Kelly $6 million or Arthur Smith, I'd take Arthur Smith.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money for an OC,
That's
dude.
true. And he asked, then who would you want after those guys? I mean,
A number of people.
like, my ideal situation, I said this when I wanted the Steelers to fire Tomlin and start fresh this year. I wanted to get Brian Flores, and then I wanted to have him bring over Josh McCown.
Ooh, I'd be cool with that.
Or the young QB coach assistant that they got there, guy Grant, whatever his name
Yeah,
is. It's a weird name.
Yeah.
It starts with a U. Would have loved him as well, but obviously the team is sticking with Mike Tomlin and Arthur Smith for another season.
What about Pat Meyer for offensive coordinator?
So, according to Alan Saunders here, the Steelers have scheduled a pre-draft visit with Kansas State running back DJ Giddens. So that is a kind of like maybe late day 2, early day 3 type of running back prospect right there.
Sure.
So that might give us a little bit of a hint as to what round the Steelers are thinking at running back this year. I think a big question is how do they feel about Jaylen Warren? Do they view him as a true number 1 running back? After last season, I don't know if that would be the conclusion I would come to. He's a really good number 2 back.
I think if someone signed Jaylen Warren and the Steelers got the 2nd round pick, I think the Steelers would be happy with that.
Yeah, sure. So I don't know, man. Right now they are talking about Rodgers with AJ Hawk right now. Pat McAfee just says he texts Aaron Rodgers every morning and simply says, "Let's go." And it's like, I mean, we're all just waiting. We're all just waiting at this point with Aaron Rodgers. Now,
so if you want to, shout out to Sam Brown for this. If you want to look at the top QBs available, it's Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. After that,
it's a steep decline.
You're looking at Jameis Winston, Joe Flacco, Mac Jones,
Mason Rudolph,
Cooper Rush, Carson Wentz, Drew Lock.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Like, I don't know, man. I feel like if the Steelers was the clear choice right now, Coop, and the money was good, why wouldn't Rodgers just sign?
Exactly.
That's the thing. That's why I think Minnesota is still in this thing, where, like, maybe for the right price tag, he would go to Minnesota, and he would complete the Favre arc. I mean, Minnesota, they got a great offensive situation. Like, Sam Darnold, who was previously viewed as, like, a replacement-level starter, high-end backup, had 35 touchdown passes in that offense last year. So, like, would I blame Rodgers for kicking the tires on Minnesota before signing with the Steelers? I can't necessarily blame him, but
if Rodgers were to sign in Minnesota, would McCarthy request a trade, and would the Steelers trade for J.J. McCarthy?
If McCarthy becomes available, I would actually be down for them trading for McCarthy.
That would be my worst nightmare because I think he stinks. But it would probably be one of the best options.
Listen, man, he does have a good arm. He does have some nice athleticism. He played in a run-heavy offense in Michigan. He's played in cold weather. There's a lot of stuff with J.J. McCarthy that would make sense if McCarthy is fed up with the Vikings. Honestly, part of this might be the Vikings talking with McCarthy saying, how do you feel about us bringing in Aaron Rodgers in that scenario? And if I'm McCarthy, I'm telling him,
fuck no.
Yeah, if I'm McCarthy, I'm saying I'm either the starter next year,
or I am not on your team,
or I'm asking for a trade.
Yeah.
And if that's the case and you're the Vikings, then the conversation's over and you say no to Rodgers, and then Rodgers signs with the Steelers. But, like, am I crazy to think that J.J. McCarthy might be open to that? Learning from, especially after a year where you're not even playing football and practicing. I mean, I would think as a competitor he would want to play and try to be the starter and not want to sit for a year, but I don't know. $2. The Dak says, you think we get Kupp? I think he goes to Jacksonville. I think there's going to be multiple teams interested, and I think the Steelers will offer him a contract. I think they'll offer him a team-friendly deal, but I think he's going to make more money elsewhere, so I think he goes somewhere else. I think the Steelers would be interested in him for something less than $10 million per season. I think they like Calvin Austin III. I think they still have a level of belief in Roman Wilson. And we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. But if I had to guess, I don't think the Steelers get Cooper Kupp. That's my answer. Mayito Gomez says, just jumped on live. Thoughts on Joe Milton? I actually really like the idea of trading a late day 3 pick for Milton as a backup, not as a starter. I'd rather have Mason Rudolph as a starter next year than Joe Milton.
Yeah, I think Milton has a lot of work to do to develop and to be a starting QB. He has the arm talent. He has the physical traits.
He showed some good stuff in New England last year. Now, sure, it was in preseason, and then it was against a backup NFL defense in the season finale. But he showed some nice footwork. He showed some nice pocket presence. He showed some good mental processing stuff. He showed off the arm talent and the playmaking ability that made him so intriguing coming out. Like, I actually like the idea of trading a 7th for Joe Milton if the Patriots would take a 7th for him. I'd be okay with that, especially if he's the backup here in Pittsburgh, because then he can just learn. And, like, the Steelers can get eyes on him before committing to him as a starter. So I actually like the idea of Joe Milton as a backup here in Pittsburgh, especially if you get him for the right price. Daryl Oglesby, my man Daryl, says, what about Kirk Cousins?
Stinks.
Washed. So listen, there's a lot of discussion surrounding the age of these quarterbacks, Coop. Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Kirk Cousins, all of them are old. All right, so you might say, Jack, you're open to Aaron Rodgers, who's older than Kirk Cousins, but you don't want Kirk? Why? Here's the answer. You ready for it?
Yes.
Kirk Cousins has lost his arm strength. Aaron Rodgers hasn't. And when a quarterback loses his arm strength, and it's not like Kirk had a bazooka at any point in his career, right? He had a decent NFL arm, but like after that Achilles injury, he came back last year, and I think at one point over the span of a month, he threw 11 or more interceptions or something like that. I think it was like 11 interceptions to 2 touchdowns in the final month. He was the starter in Atlanta, and they play in a dome.
Are you joking?
Here in Pittsburgh, he'd be playing late in the season in the cold during a 17-game schedule in Pittsburgh, in Baltimore, in Cleveland, in Cincinnati, and all the places. I mean, this team plays, I believe, in Chicago. They will play in New York against the Jets. Like, those are cold places to play, man. And Kirk Cousins has one of, if not the most weak arm out of any quarterback in the league, or at least it was last year. I mean, it is a noodle. So, listen, man, you know when a quarterback becomes too old when he loses his arm strength. That's when you know age has caught up with a quarterback. It hasn't caught up with Rodgers or Russ. They both throw the ball just fine. With Cousins, he's lost his arm strength, which means he's trying to fit the ball into windows he used to be able to fit it in, but no longer can.
Correct.
Which lead to interceptions. So I think I would rather have Joe Milton as my starting quarterback than Kirk Cousins next year. Especially because I think the Falcons would only trade him, and they're not. It looks like they're not.
They're not going to cut him.
It looks like they're not going to cut him. They're just fine with him being the backup. And just eat it.
Yeah.
I mean, crazy stuff in Atlanta right now. $2. Tarkus Bucks.
Why play Rodgers wait and see games? Just signed Russ. I think they're doing that because they think Rodgers is the better option.
Yeah. The reason, 2 reasons. Number 1, I think they think Rodgers is a better quarterback than Russ is. Number 2 reason, I think, is because Russ has soiled some of the relationships he's had in Pittsburgh. It was reported by Jerry Dulac that Russ was kind of handcuffed by Arthur Smith at the end of the season last year. Apparently that wasn't true. And apparently Russ leaked that to Jerry Dulac, and his team leaked that to make him look less bad in the media. And apparently Arthur Smith and other people in the organization really don't like that.
Yeah.
And that really soured a lot of people in the Steelers building on Russ, which is why they preferred Justin Fields over him and why they're preferring Aaron Rodgers over him. Like the Steelers, at this point, Russell Wilson is their last resort. He is like their plan Z. All right? Because they understand that if he comes back, relationships are going to have to be mended. And that's difficult to do. Plus, I do think they think Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback than Russell Wilson is at this point. So that's the answer. $2. The Dax is, why is Coop such a Kyler hater?
This goes back a long time. I've known Kyler since Kyler was 14 years old. He went to Allen High School. Before he went to Allen High School, he went to Louisville Middle School, and he was choosing between my high school and Allen High School to go to. Illegally recruited, of course, because him and his father were scumbags and trying to get,
money,
the best deal for him, whatever. Anyways, he chose Allen High School. He never lost a game in high school. He's one of the best high school quarterbacks ever.
I would say he's the greatest high school quarterback of all time.
He might be.
Especially because he did it in Texas.
And then he went to Texas A&M. I don't know if you can see this logo right here. It's a Longhorn. I hate Texas A&M. They're a joke. And then he went to Oklahoma and won the Heisman and became the first overall pick. So I have hated Kyler Murray for over a decade, long before he was in the NFL, long before he was even in college, and Trace Gerard got a pick 6 on him.
If you don't know who Trace Gerard is, he's our Saints host here at Chat Sports, and he got a pick 6 off of Kyler Murray. What did he say, middle school?
Middle school flag football.
That's funny.
So F Kyler Murray.
F Kyler Murray, I guess. So that's why he's a Kyler hater. I'm not a Kyler hater. I think that he's a pretty good NFL quarterback, if I'm being honest with you. I think that he has a lot of haters out there because of the COD stuff. He's not the best teammate in the world, apparently. But, I think he'd be a great fit here in Pittsburgh. I just think that there's zero reason for Jonathan Gannon and the Cardinals to trade him. Literally zero. There's no, Jonathan Gannon is fighting for his job next year, and there are no better quarterback options than Kyler Murray. So, if you're not going to upgrade, why get rid of Kyler unless he demands a trade out of Arizona, which won't happen. They're not signing Jacoby Brissett to replace Kyler Murray. That's a silly idea.
Not happening.
That's just silly. People, that suggest that. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news if you were legitimately thinking Kyler Murray was a legit possibility. I'm telling you right now, there is no way Kyler Murray is the Pittsburgh Steelers starting quarterback next year. And if I'm wrong on that, I will happily eat crow. Happily. Because he's a good quarterback, so I'd be happy for him to be here, but I just don't see any possible way it gets done. Taterhead says, Coop's just mad because his team lost to him.
Which team?
High school team.
I don't think we ever actually
and
played
college.
Oh, we beat him.
And when he was at Oklahoma?
Mm-hmm.
Did he lose in Red River?
He did.
Oh, my God, that's funny. That is funny. But Caleb didn't. Caleb had the greatest Red River performance of all time against you guys.
28-7.
28-7 came all the way back with Caleb.
What a joke.
Oh, my goodness. Coop sounds jelly like belly. They hate us because they ain't us.
I don't know if I'm jealous of Kyler Murray. Peanut butter and jealous.
They're peanut butter and jealous.
Great movie.
Very underrated comedy.
Yes, it is.
It's a terrible story.
Awful story.
Awful story.
Good movie, though.
Great movie just because of the comedy that's in it.
Yep.
The Interview, by the way, if you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix. Oh, man. So right now we are 20 minutes away from the end of McAfee.
They're talking to Shaq.
And they're talking to Shaq right now. So so apparently Ricky, so you guys remember Ricky.
The People's Insider.
He was the one that said for months that Brandon Ayuk would be a Steeler. And then he ended up being a 49er. So, and he's only got 2/3 of his predictions right so far in free agency so far. So not everything Ricky says is gospel. All right, just going to put that out there first. But he does get a lot of stuff right, specifically when it comes to New York Giants inside. information, and he said earlier today that I'm gonna read the tweet exactly. I will read you Ricky's tweet exactly. Or he's changed his name to Slick Rick, by the way, on Twitter. He said, no one in the Giants building knows when Aaron Rodgers' decision will be made. They're expecting him to be a Steeler and have begun preparing contingency plans. They were told Aaron will be announcing the decision himself. They're on Panda Watch, and they have like a photo of Ron Burgundy with the Panda Watch on there. So that's where Ricky has this thing. And by the way, he was saying Rodgers was going to be a Giant all the way up until today. He changed his reporting today. So that is the latest on that. By the way, we're about a quarter of the way left to 78,000 subscribers. We give you guys Steelers content every single day. If the Steelers don't make a move today, we'll get you guys a QB rumors video with the latest surrounding Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson. He says, while we are waiting, give us show history.
What do you mean by that?
Give us show
like history of this channel? Or what do you mean, CJ? Let us know.
Yeah, let us know what you mean, CJ. I mean, we've been here on YouTube for what? Since I took over 3 years.
Yeah, you were here 22.
And we have built the largest community of Steelers fans anywhere on YouTube. With almost 78,000 subscribers. Thank you so much to everybody that's subscribed. If you want to join us, we have weekly live shows. We're going live for every day, or just about, at least a couple more days until Aaron Rodgers signs. Once we eventually sign a quarterback, we will go live for that.
Raji is for sure signing when I'm in Europe in a month from now.
In a month from now?
Yep.
Where are you going in Europe?
Going to London.
For a week or something?
Yep.
Downtown London?
Yep.
Staying at like an Airbnb?
Hotel?
Yeah. With your family?
A couple friends. We're going to see some soccer games.
Oh, cool. Who are you going to go see?
Chelsea.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it. Have you ever seen them?
I have.
Okay, cool.
Yes,
so you've been to London
I
before.
have.
Okay. I've never been to London.
It's a good time.
I haven't been abroad too much. I've been to Italy.
Canada?
I've been to Canada briefly.
You went to Italy?
Yeah, I went to Italy my senior year of high school.
That's
Went to
awesome.
Assisi, and then I went to Rome. So it was a Catholic
Good
high
food?
school. Great food. Pasta there is just unbelievably good. Pizza too.
Would you take Joe Flacco in case of emergency?
What's up?
Would you take Joe Flacco in case of emergency?
Honest question. Who would you rather have? Joe Flacco or Mason Rudolph? I think I'm taking Mason.
Yeah, I'd take Mason as well.
The thing about Flacco is he throws too many interceptions. He has experience in this division. Obviously, he's played for the Browns and Ravens. He won Comeback Player of the Year with the Browns 2 seasons ago. By the way, that was the most fraudulent Comeback Player of the Year trophy of all time because he led the league in interception percentage.
Oh, Jameis? Yeah.
No, Flacco.
Flacco, yes.
He
yes,
led
yes.
the league in interception percentage
because
and
he
won
had-
Comeback Player of the Year.
He had a couple of good games.
Yeah, he had a couple of good games where he hit some deep
Yeah.
shots. He still has a good arm. He can still play in the division. But, like, for what the Steelers are looking for, like, they're looking for a game manager that protects the football. That's not Joe Flacco. All right? Like, I feel like they would rather have Mason Rudolph over Flacco. Like,
I think they would, too.
To me, Flacco's in the same category of Winston, where they too many interceptions.
Yeah.
That's what they're decent quarterbacks, like backup quarterbacks, but like as a starter on a run-first team that wants to protect the football, I just don't see the fit. Taterhead said Joe Flacco beat us last year, right? He beat us when Justin Fields was the quarterback. Now the defense was terrible that game. Like I remember before that game, the Steelers defense went on a generational run.
Yeah, that's how Justin Fields was 4-2 as a starter.
Yeah, I mean Justin Fields.
They gave up less than 10 points a game.
Like the Steelers gave up less than 10 points a game in the first 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden their defense just crumbled in the first quarter against Flacco and the Colts. Like Flacco can still play a little bit, but like he got the starting job and he played so bad they had to go back to Anthony Richardson to finish the season. Like, that's how bad Flacco played towards the end of the year. So, like, I just don't see the fit with him in Pittsburgh.
It sounds like the Dak hater doesn't very like me because he says, imagine being a Chelsea fan with the throw-up emoji.
I guess the Dak is not.
It's unfortunate, man.
The Dak isn't
we all have haters.
Too fond of Jeffrey Cooperstein.
That's all right, man.
It's okay. Can't please everybody.
Can't please everyone.
Can't please everyone, man.
The Giants have added an offensive tackle. They have added Stone Forsythe.
Okay, so they've added essentially 2 depth tackles.
Yes.
So we have a PayPal here
Okay.
that we will get to.
Sounds good.
Well, actually, different name here. He put in what he wants his name to be. So we've got about 15 minutes before we are going to end the live stream for today, unless there's breaking news, where then we'll do a cut. But we've got a couple more minutes. If you got any more questions, if you got any more comments you want to get on the show, Cajun Steeler coming in with a $20 PayPal. Appreciate you, Cajun Steeler. He gets 2 raffle entries. Just kind of a last warning for you here, guys. We're not going to be doing the jersey raffle today, or at least right now, but we will be doing the jersey raffle when the Steelers start their or sign their starting quarterback. All right, so if it's Aaron Rodgers, we'll be giving away an Aaron Rodgers Steelers jersey. If it's Russell Wilson, we will give away a Russell Wilson Steelers jersey. If it's Mason Rudolph, we will give away a Mason Rudolph Steelers jersey.
If it's Mitch Trubisky?
So Arthur Jay Glazer has talked about the Aaron Rodgers situation, and he says he likes Aaron Rodgers' fit with the Steelers, thinks Arthur Smith can, quote-unquote, get the most out of him. So the fact that Glazer, who is a very connected Tomlin source...
He knows what he's talking about.
By the way, Glazer said at the Super Bowl when we were there, he told Mike Florio and Chris Sims, I don't think the Steelers bring back either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. At that point, everybody else was saying they're bringing back either Russ or Fields. He was the only one saying they're not bringing back either. So maybe he knows something. I think at this point we know the Steelers are trying to get Rodgers, but
appreciate you, the Dak. I know it's all love. We're just messing around.
We're just messing around, man. Jonathan Holscher says, "Are you a Steelers or a Redskins fan, Jack?" Well,
the Redskins don't exist.
The Redskins do not exist. They are the Commanders now. But I'll just say this: go look at my Twitter and look who I tweet about,
and look who we're live on right now.
And look what channel we're live on right now. I hope that gives you a pretty clear answer as to, listen, man, here's the thing. Pretty much every single host here at Chat Sports covers multiple teams.
Yep.
I cover multiple teams.
Chase Sr.
All right, Chase Sr. covers the 49ers and the Eagles. All right. I cover the Steelers and the Commanders. All right. Matthew Peterson covers the Falcons, Browns, and Broncos. All right, like
Tyler Jones
hosts Seahawks and Chiefs. All right, just because we have limited people here at Chat Sports, we cover multiple teams. All right, so even though I'm a Steelers fan,
Joey the Mouth,
me and Trainer Joey, we cover the Commanders as well. But that doesn't mean I'm any less of a Steelers fan. All right, guys, like I cover the Commanders for my job. I have a lot of affinity and love for the Commanders faithful in that organization, and I have a lot of fun watching the Commanders. But, I mean, last year the Steelers played the Commanders.
Look what channel we were live on.
Guess what channel we were live on for the watch party? Steelers Talk by Chat Sports. I hope that clears up. Where my allegiances lie. It's Pittsburgh, by the way. But that doesn't mean that I don't like the Commanders, too. I like the Commanders, too. I cover them. I think that they're a very exciting team.
They are an exciting team.
I love covering that team because of how, Jaden Daniels is so fun to watch. Love their head coach, Dan Quinn. Like, I love covering the Washington Commanders, but I am a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and, this channel is definitely 1A for me. And if you got a problem with that, you can go unsubscribe, all right? Because, I don't think anybody that's watched this channel is gonna challenge my fandom for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Dak says Jack is lying. Jack is a Browns fanboy.
Jack loves the Browns secretly.
Yeah, I'm just a really, I shit on the Browns on this channel, and then when I go home, I put on my Browns t-shirt, I bow to my statue of Kevin Stefanski.
Deshaun Watson is your idol.
I put on the I put the Deshaun Watson lotion on, when I get home. Definitely a Browns fan. Good one, the Dak.
The Dak, are you a Dak fan?
So right now it is 2:51 p.m. on the East Coast. We have been live for over, 15 hours? At least, maybe 20 hours at this point since the Metcalf trade?
Yeah.
Probably close to 20 hours this
about
week
15.
already. And if Rodgers is not signed by tomorrow, I would say we're probably going to be going live for McAfee again tomorrow as well. So, we shall see what happens. But it certainly seems like the Steelers are still the favorite to land Aaron Rodgers. But at this point, Rodgers has been connected to the Steelers since Monday, and no deal has been struck. So it begs the question, what's the holdup? Is it money? Is it Rodgers still needs time to go into the darkness and think? Which, by the way, is more than a possibility. Like last time he made a decision as to what team he wanted to go play for, all that stuff, he spent a weekend in darkness?
Yeah, it was like 48 hours, I believe.
But last time he put it on social media and he got panned for it.
He got killed.
So maybe this time he's doing the same thing. He's just not telling anybody that's what he's doing.
Could you do one of those? 48 hours, no light?
I've done a silence retreat before.
Really?
And I really liked it.
Have you really?
Yeah, it was really good. It was over a weekend, and they just it was like a church thing. But we go there, and you do mass or whatever, and then they do the prayer of silence, and then you're silent. You don't talk for the rest of the weekend until you have mass at the end of the week, and then they give you the blessing or whatever.
You enjoyed it?
And it was fun. It was good.
Interesting.
I don't
know if I can do that.
You have a weekend with just your thoughts to think about your life, what you want your life goals to be, how you envision your next year going. Silence retreats are great. Spending time with yourself is very healthy. So, it's good to do once a year if you've never done a
I don't know
retreat.
if I can do that.
If you have a group of buddies to go with, I went with my late grandpa when he was still alive, and his brothers after their brother died. And it was very, very therapeutic for them to have that experience with me and them. So that was good.
Good to know.
$2 from Dre Dog. First time super chatter here.
Shout out Dre Dog.
Shout out to Dre Dog. Let's give him some Ric Flair. Let's wait for him to come up on screen and for our software to load.
It's going to take a second.
We got about 5 minutes left in the show here, guys, unless the Steelers sign somebody. We'll see if Aaron Rodgers makes a last-second appearance on McAfee. I doubt it, but we will see. So super chat's not pulling?
Just got to reload it.
It's got to reload it.
Once an hour.
So AJ Hawk on Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show today. Quote, I think Aaron Rodgers will play. I don't know anything, but I want him to play in Pittsburgh. So now you have Pat, you have AJ, and you got Tone, all wanting him to play in Pittsburgh, and they all have his ear. I wonder who he's going to play for. By the way, the first time I mentioned Rodgers, I mentioned the reason why it might happen was because of the influence McAfee and the boys might have on him. So I don't think they're telling him what to do, but I think it's pretty clear who they want Rodgers to sign with at this point. $2 from Dre Dog 71. Appreciate you. Was that the one with the $1 super chat? Let's have a Ric Flair drip. Woo! So the last that I heard, the Steelers offered a contract to Rodgers on Monday. They had a conversation with him on Monday, and it went well. They did not strike a deal because Rodgers wanted to take in his options and come to a full decision, and they haven't heard back from him since. So I think right now the Steelers are just waiting for Rodgers to give him a call back and say, let's get this done. It's not like they're constantly on the phone going back and forth on contract terms. I think right now
they have the offer in hand.
Pittsburgh has given his agent and him the offer, and it's up to Rodgers whether he wants to take that offer, retire, or go to the Giants and accept their offer. I think the Giants have offered him more money. And I think right now Rodgers is trying to potentially kick the tires on maybe figuring out something to go to Minnesota. Because like if you're ranking most likely to win a Super Bowl, I'd say Minnesota would give him his best chance, then Steelers, then Giants. So like if Minnesota is still a possibility, I can see why he's still keeping the door open for that. But like if the Minnesota's not interested, then I just don't see any reason why Rodgers would not be signed already unless he's just taking ample time to spend in the darkness, maybe take some ayahuasca, try to come to a conclusion that's best for him. And the thing about Rodgers, Coop, is that he dances to the beat of his own drum.
Yes, he does.
He does not work on anybody else's timetable, anybody else's schedule. And that's part of the reason why a lot of people don't want him in Pittsburgh, because it's like, is he going to beat to the drum of Mike Tomlin? Is he going to dance to his beat, or is he going to do his own thing? Because Mike Tomlin is very much, I am the one. I am the drummer boy here. All right? I set the beat and the tone in the locker room. You march to the beat that I set. And Tomlin is definitely the type of guy where it's like, I dance to the beat of my own drum. So I certainly understand that concern with the people that don't want Rodgers. But if there's any coach where Rodgers would respect enough to dance to the beat of their drum, it would be Mike Tomlin, who we know he has a very, very deep respect for. So we'll see. Something that I will say, though, Coop, is that the Steelers are somewhat comfortable letting him make this decision because they haven't signed another quarterback.
Clearly.
Like, if the Steelers were uncomfortable with the amount of time... Russ would be a Steeler.
Yeah.
If they were uncomfortable with the amount of time Rodgers is taking with this, they would have moved on already. But they haven't moved on, which tells you how much they want this guy. Which should tell you that he's probably a better option than Russell Wilson at this point, or at least that's how they feel at this point. So we will see.
All right.
Got 2 more minutes to go, and then Terry's asking, how long do you think they'll wait? Who knows? They might wait as long as it takes.
I think they will, too.
Because I think they know they have Russell Wilson in hand.
Do you think there's a verbal agreement with Russ if we don't get Rodgers?
There might be.
Yeah.
According to reports, the Steelers have been in communication with his representation, so I'm sure they've let him know. Like, we're going to go after Rodgers, but Rodgers goes somewhere else, you're going to be our first call.
Yeah.
So, and the thing is, like, because Russ is waiting on Rodgers can take his time.
Of course he can.
Like, Rodgers has all the power in this situation. Rodgers can just wait as long as he wants. And the Steelers, apparently at this point, are okay with just letting him, take whatever time he needs to come to a decision because they know that they're going to have a quarterback waiting for them if they don't get him.
In all reality, we talk about, like, the alternatives, like the Mason Rudolphs, the Jameis Winston's, the Joe Flacco's. It's going to be either Russ or Rodgers.
Yeah. It's either, like, listen, man, we've addressed a lot of the different ideas. Mason Rudolph, Kyler Murray, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert. I don't see any of those being realistic opportunities right now, guys. I see it as Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. It's like a 99% chance it's either one of those guys. All right? Like, the only way that I could see it being somebody else is if Rodgers goes to Minnesota and then Russ says, fuck the Steelers, I'm going to the Giants, which is not impossible.
It's possible.
That is a possibility. And if that happens, I think the Steelers probably sign Mason Rudolph and then draft a rookie in the first round.
Yep.
And even though they might be reaching on Tyler Shuck or they might be reaching on Jackson Dart in round 1, if you have Mason Rudolph as your starting quarterback, you're pushed to a point of almost desperation. And now that I think about it, I would almost rather just forego the first-round quarterback this year, ride out with Mason this year, and just draft a quarterback first round next year.
I'd be in on that as well.
I would actually probably prefer that I would be okay with Shuck, but Jackson Dart in round 1 is a no-go for me. All right, man. So it's 2 p.m. They are still live. Can you fast forward here, Coop?
Yeah, we're live.
We're live right now?
Yeah.
All right. So once the McAfee show ends, we will sign off here. Get some lunch. And hope the Steelers make a signing or two here. And hopefully one of them is a quarterback. So we can go live and put this entire saga behind us. I mean, this saga at this point, it's approaching Brandon Ayuk saga levels right here, where it's just like, all right, like we're expecting this to happen. When is it going to happen? And the longer it goes, and the longer it goes on, the more you think that like it might not happen. So we'll see.
Surprised we haven't heard a wheel of
punishment.
Are they live on Seahawks today?
Oh yeah.
Sign off, Pat.
So just the latest reporting is that Slick Rick, who is the People's Insider, the dog, he says that Rodgers is going to be a Steeler. And he changed his mind. He said previously that he would be a Giant. He changed his mind this morning. And he says the Giants expect Rodgers to announce that he's going to be a Steeler on his own. This is the photo he posted earlier. Then Pat McAfee reposted this video of Rodgers from 2021 talking about how he loves Mike Tomlin and he loves the city of Pittsburgh. Loves Pittsburgh Dad. He mentioned Pittsburgh Dad specifically, how he's a big fan of his. So, obviously Pat is a Pittsburgh native. He grew up in the Pittsburgh suburbs. A.J. Hawk has said he wants him to go to Pittsburgh. Tone Diggs, obviously their representative Steelers fan, wants him to be a Steeler. So
Mark Caboli has pointed to it.
Mark Caboli, who works for Pat McAfee show, has pointed to it. It just seems like it's going to be Pittsburgh at this point. It's just a matter of when is Rodgers going to officially pull the trigger on this. So that's where we're at. Oh, nice. McAfee just drained a 3 from his set. You know, Coop, before we say goodbye here, as they're wrapping up on McAfee, I was blasting Renegade to work on the drive to work today.
Yes, you were.
I was excited to be a Pittsburgh Steelers fan today.
We walked in with each other at work.
We walked in with each other
and
today.
You said, today is the day.
I said, I think today's the day, but, now that McAfee has passed and Rodgers has not announced that the Steelers are going to be signing him, it just makes you wonder, all right, what is Aaron Rodgers doing right now? Because according to Slick Rick, Steelers or the Giants don't think they're getting him. There's other people that think that the Vikings are still in play. There's some people that think Rodgers is in the darkness right now and he's currently coming to a decision on the Giants versus the Steelers. Who knows? But I mean, it's just, I'm tired of waiting, man.
As Jonathan Holland said, man, this sucks. It's like waiting on Christmas. Yeah?
So according to Yahoo Sports, the Atlanta Falcons are expected to keep quarterback Kirk Cousins for next season, which makes sense. Because they don't want to take on the dead cap money.
The Dak, grant at 21 or trade back and hope he's still there. I would take Grant where we sit at 21.
Yeah, we're sitting at 21, Dak, but it depends on what else they do in free agency. Because right now, they need running back, they need a corner, they need 2 defensive tackles, Like they need a quarterback too. Like it depends what they do in free agency, but right now I would be looking to trade down and try to recoup my second round pick. Or if I could get an additional third round pick, I would be happy with that in a trade down. That's what I would be doing. Now, if you address defensive tackle, if you address the other positions that you need, then maybe you stay and pick Grant at 21. I don't know. But right now, I would personally trade back and hope he's still there. And if he's not still there, maybe take Omarion Hampton to be your new star running back. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they do for sure. They're still up on McAfee right now.
Are they waiting?
Because they're talking about the Kirk Cousins news, so they're just giving their take on that.
They've gone way over time.
They've gone way over time, so are they waiting for somebody?
Are they waiting?
I mean, how chills would it be if Aaron Rodgers joined them with a Steelers hat at the end of the show?
That would be sick.
I can't say it would shock me, which is why we're staying live here until McAfee officially is over.
Danny Clip says, is Gainwell potential RB1? He is not. The Steelers are going to draft a running back early.
Yeah, I think they're going to draft a running back very latest round 4. Very latest, but probably within the first 2 days of the draft. And the reason why I say that, guys, is because the Steelers want to be a run-first team. And if you want to be a run-first team like the Ravens or the Eagles, not only do you have to have the offensive line to do that, but you need to have the star-level running back to be able to run the ball at will, even when the defense knows you're running the football. So you need the offensive line and you need the running back. In my opinion, Jaylen Warren is really good as a number 2. I don't think he's a Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry. I think the Steelers need to find that piece, which is why I think the Steelers will look into taking a running back as early as round 1. Because they need that piece. So I have info here that from a certain source that apparently Aaron Rodgers and his team are trying to get more money out of the Steelers.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Apparently the money that the Steelers are offering him is something that he wants more than. I don't have specifics. But apparently all the Giants stuff that's getting out there, like, oh, he might go to the Giants, is his team putting out stuff to try and get Steelers to up their offer.
Yeah. It wouldn't shock me in the least if that's what he was trying to do and make a leverage play.
So, listen, man, like, I would say, I don't know, man. That's just what this particular source told me, but believe whatever you want on this. But it makes sense. It does make sense, because it's like, why would he be seriously considering the Giants over the Steelers?
He wouldn't.
Like, he wants to play 2 more years. But the Giants are going to be taking a quarterback in round 1 this year, probably trading up to get one. Do you really want the number 1 overall pick right over your shoulder? I certainly wouldn't. So, all this interest in the Giants that's being reported out there, it makes sense that it would be Rodgers trying to play some games here to try and get some more money. Now, I have no idea the number that the Steelers offered Aaron Rodgers. It could be the same $15 million that they offered Justin Fields.
Could be.
It could be the same. It could be 20 or 25. Maybe Rodgers wants to get paid like Geno Smith level money, 40, 45 million. Maybe that is what he wants to get paid, and the Steelers are not budging. Who knows what's going on, man? Super chat here from Lucas Skew.
My guy Luke. Soon as it pops up, we'll get you on. I think Jalen is the number 1. Jalen who?
Jalen Warren. Jalen Warren.
I don't think he's the number one.
So listen, I think that if you want to say he's a top 32 back in the league, I won't necessarily disagree with that. But you have to have like a top 10, top 5 back to have the kind of run game that the Eagles have, that the kind of run game that the Ravens have. Like, you got to have a special player. And I don't know if Jalen is Saquon or Derrick Henry level special. I think he's really good, and I think he's very much a part of their plans. But, like, I don't know, man. I feel like the Steelers, if they want to get to the place that the Eagles are now, if they want to get to the place where the Ravens are offensively now, you got to have a bona fide stud, bona fide star. That would be Ashton Genty to me. That would be Omarion Hampton to me. That would be potentially Quinshon Judkins to me. That would be potentially Caleb Johnson to me. That would be potentially Cam Scatabo to me. There's a trade, not Steelers, but Kaiir Elam.
Wow.
First round bust out of Florida. Expected to be traded to the Cowboys.
Shit.
Per Josina Anderson.
Interesting. What are we doing, Pat? Either give us news or sign off.
Is that the same guy? Is that the same
I
guy?
have no idea.
They're showing a fat guy and a skinny guy. Are they waiting on Aaron Rodgers right now? It's 12-12 and they're still not getting off. They usually go until 3 p.m. Eastern, right? I'm not crazy.
You're not?
Got my quesadilla here, folks.
I know. I'm hungry as hell.
I'm hungry, man. I want to have some lunch. But I'm wondering here, are they extending this show for a reason? Like what? Like this? I get that it's not. I don't know, man.
Should I tweet him and tell him to sign off or give us Rodgers?
Yeah, you should tweet that. Like, bro, if Aaron Rodgers comes on this screen right now wearing a Pittsburgh Steelers hat, I might literally shit my pants. That would actually be chills. What would be more chills? The Devontae Adams reveal or this? I think this.
Oh, yeah, this would be way more.
Because before, we already knew Devontae was traded to the Jets. We already knew that. Right now, we're waiting for a decision on Rodgers. And if he comes on with a Pittsburgh Steelers hat, like that would be electric.
According to JPA Football and Cameron Wolf, the Bengals are seeking a first-round pick and more for Trey Hendrickson.
Well, they can look all they want. I think the Commanders would give them a first.
The Commanders and Falcons were reported team interest.
That makes sense. William D says McAfee has a show in Pittsburgh tomorrow. Rodgers probably popping in. Is that true?
He does have a show in Pitt tomorrow.
Is that the plan?
Maybe.
Could that be wait, so like, is that the night at?
Yeah.
So at night. So it might be
at night.
At night.
I actually don't know.
Is it tomorrow?
I think he's doing his normal show and the night thing tomorrow too.
Looking this up. Said Wednesday, April 9th is the night at, not tomorrow. Yeah, I don't think he's in Pittsburgh tomorrow. Unless I'm wrong. Dude, it's suspicious.
Why are they still alive?
Why are they still on? We're now we're now a quarter of an hour past when they were supposed to sign off, and they're not signing off. So, some people are telling us, go get some food.
We're about to.
I mean, I almost don't want to because I feel like there's a God, I'm getting myself worked up.
You are.
I'm getting myself worked up for something that's just
not gonna happen.
That's just extending the time of me not having a quesadilla in my gullet. Come on, Raji. Come on, Raji. Pop up on that screen, boy.
They're talking about Elon and his brain transfer shit.
Yeah, why are they talking about this at 2:16 when they're supposed to be signing off at 2? Like, it's a serious question. Because my fear, guys, is that we get off, and then Rodgers comes on, and we're just going to have to come back on.
Do we keep this stream live? We put a be right back thing. We eat, and we come back.
No. If this gets to 2:30, then maybe. Because, unless I'm missing something here. Because, does anybody think it's an impossibility here that they're extending this because they're expecting Rodgers at the end of the show and he's just not ready yet?
No idea.
So, I think they said people are saying 12 to 4 Eastern.
It's 3. It's 12 to 3-ish Eastern.
That's what I thought. I thought it goes until 3 because we were live until 2 yesterday, Central Time here in Dallas.
And in Pat McAfee's bio, it says live Monday through Friday, 12 to 3-ish Eastern.
So I guess 2:18 or 3:18 is 3-ish. So we do have trade compensation here, by the way. Cameron Wolf on NFL Network has provided an update. He says Aaron Rodgers is the Steelers' top choice right now. They would love to bring in Rodgers to lead this offense. I was told that they feel like he is a good fit for Arthur Smith, their offensive coordinator's scheme, and more than anything, they believe he can raise their ceiling. So everything that I've been telling you guys here, it's exactly what's being reported. So you're welcome for the early access. They believe Rodgers is a good fit for this offense, and they believe that he raises the ceiling compared to what they had with Russell Wilson. So that's where we're at right now. Obviously, we still don't have a definite answer, but that's where we're at.
Some people are saying they're going to 4.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we just got a Rodgers report from Schefter. It says, now official. Jets are releasing Aaron Rodgers after 4 p.m. today. We already knew that. The Jets will take on $49 million in dead money by releasing Rodgers. He's being designated as a post-June 1st cut, meaning they'll carry his $21 million cap hit until June 1st. When it drops to $14 million, saving $7. But they then will absorb a $35 million dead cap hit in 2026. So pretty much we knew this was coming, but now the deed has officially been done. The New York Jets are officially releasing Aaron Rodgers. That is the new update.
Yeah, I guess the show's going till 4 Eastern. If that's the case, I'm going to get my food because I'm starving.
I am pretty starving as well.
Are we staying till 4?
I think we got to.
All right. Then I'm going to get my food. I'll be right back.
All right, Coop's going to go get his food. We're going to stay live until McAfee's over. So that's my promise to you guys. If Rodgers comes on, I want to be able to react to it live. So that's where we're at. Dobby has a sock. I love this idea. It says, dude, just let Boswell sling that rock. Hey, Boswell put a perfect pass on James Pierre last year, right in the breadbasket. He just dropped it. That's not on Bos. So the latest update is the news we expected was that the New York Jets are now officially releasing Aaron Rodgers. They do owe him money this year. I'm wondering how much money they owe him guaranteed. Because the amount of money that goes to Rodgers from the Jets does matter in terms of and also, by the way, in recent days, Zachary Smith just tweeted this. The Pittsburgh Steelers currently have the second best odds to land Shadur Sanders in the NFL draft, which I would not like at all, honestly. So Rodgers was slated to make $37.5 million from the Jets this year. Now, I don't know how much of that was guaranteed. If anybody knows how much the Jets are paying Rodgers this year, let me know, because I'm having a hard time figuring that piece out. But like if it's like last year, for example, Russell Wilson got paid a very hefty amount of money from Denver, which allowed him to sign for the vet minimum here in Pittsburgh. Like, I don't know how much money. I know for a fact the Jets do have money they owe Rodgers still, but I don't know the exact amount how much, because that will affect how big this contract could potentially be for Rodgers. Because if they're paying him 10 to 15 million, like that's 10 to 15 million less the Steelers would have to pay to get him. So Darwin, he says 49 million. It's just not. I think that's his dead cap hit. That doesn't mean that's the amount of money they would owe him. I think at the most it's 37.5 is what they still owe him. That's the maximum that it could be. It's 37.5. But I don't think all of that was guaranteed. So I don't know. So 14 million is the dead cap hit. Is that exactly the amount of money he's getting from them? So if he's getting 14 million, and let's say he wants to make not like 45 million this year, that would mean the Steelers would have to pay him 31 for him to make $45 million this next year, if that's true. And apparently his dead cap hit is 35 million next year. So do they owe him 35 million next year then too? Because if that's the case, then his cap hit doesn't have to be that high for next season for him to make $45 million next year. The thing about NFL contracts, man, is that there's so many different rules and breakdowns. You never know what, because there's guaranteed money. There's certain money that you can get rid of them for that you still don't owe them. Somebody, Lazy Sharky says, Jack, they are talking about Aaron Rodgers. I think he's talking about Pat McAfee. So, based on the report that Adam Schefter just put out, the Jets are releasing quarterback Aaron Rodgers. He will be free to sign with any team when the new league year kicks in at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, which is in 35 minutes. So they will carry his $21 million cap hit until June 1st, but then it will drop to $14 million when we get to June 1st, which will save the team $7 million in cap space at the time, but then they will absorb a $35 million cap hit in 2026. And it looks like McAfee is wrapping up, and it looks like they are done. All right, so that will be our show for the day, guys. I'm going to try to do some more research here on how much exactly the Jets still owe Aaron Rodgers and see if the $14 million number is accurate. We will see.
We'll come back with the video in the afternoon if no one signs.
Yes, no one signs. We will still put out a video later today. Obviously, if they sign somebody, we will get a video too, guys. And obviously, if they sign a quarterback, if it's Rodgers, if it's Russ, if it's anybody else, we will go live for that. So that'll be it for us so far today.
Good show.
Thank you to everybody. We're going to be finishing with over 1,000 people still watching.
Great show.
That's why this channel and why this community is so great is that the Steelers could make 0 signings, and we talk about the same topic for pretty much literally 4 hours straight.
And everyone's just chilling.
Chopping it up and talking some Steelers football.
Quick reminder on the raffle, if you have purchased a raffle ticket today, that raffle ticket does transfer. So whenever the QB signs, we will do the raffle. You will have a ticket to that raffle.
Yes. So Dobby has the sock says, what time are you guys coming back on? Whenever they sign the quarterback.
When they sign the quarterback, we will be live probably half an hour after that.
Yes. Or if they don't sign anybody today,
we'll be live tomorrow again.
We'll be live again tomorrow for Pat McAfee, probably again.
Friday.
And probably Friday as well if he's still not signed by then. But good Lord, please sign by then, Aaron. But also, like Coop said, if you purchased a raffle ticket today or 2 or 3, those raffle tickets will transfer to when they sign a quarterback. So you don't have to buy extra raffle tickets.
We have your names down.
We have your names down. We will have the raffle when the quarterback is signed. So thank you guys so much for making it to the end of today's edition of Steelers Talk Live. Maybe we'll see you guys later. Maybe we won't. But if we do, until then, here we go, Steelers.
Peace.